housing lender.
North Korea's at it again.
North Korea says it has carried out a, quote, very important test at its long-range rocket launch site. A senior U.S. defense official tells Fox News it was a rocket engine test. This comes as the North has expressed frustration with the pace of nuclear negotiations. Earlier this week, a North Korean official threatened the U.S. with an unwanted Christmas gift.
Fox's Aisha Hosni. YouTube changing its terms of service to make it clear they do not have to host your content.
On December 10th, YouTube is rolling out its latest service terms. They make it clear that they have, as they put it, no obligation to serve or host content. They also added in new verbiage about children's privacy. This fall, the FTC fined Google, which owns YouTube, $170 million for tracking children's viewing histories and using that to market to them. But one key line getting maybe the most attention is this one. YouTube says they can terminate your access to all or part of the service if they, in their sole discretion, believe that provisions of the service to you are no longer commercially viable. Despite fears, YouTube says they are not changing creators' right to monetize with YouTube. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
For nearly 50 years, he was the voice of Big Bird.
Surprise!
Oh, he certainly is.
Yeah, well, I'm a little tall for my age.
Legendary puppeteer Carol Spinney, who also was the voice of Oscar the Grouch, died today at the age of 85. He suffered from dystonia, which causes involuntary muscle contractions, retired last year. Spinney said before he came to Sesame Street in 1969, he didn't feel like what he was doing was very important, and Big Bird helped him find his purpose. Colleagues calling him a kind and loving, creative genius. I'm Jane Metzler. This is Fox News.
Chili's 2 for $25 is back. Start with an appetizer to share. Then choose 2 entrees like our mouth-watering old-timer with cheeseburger or the Cajun chicken pasta, grilled chicken with penne and Alfredo sauce, and chili spices. Feeling extra? Upgrade to a personal fajita or our famous half-rack ribs. Bring a friend or a date to Chili's and get 2 entrees for $25. Located on the second floor of Tumon Sands Plaza. Chili's. More life happens here.
As the busy holiday season approaches, the last thing on your mind is to visit your medical provider. At American Medical Center, we put your health first. A preventative visit will ensure a healthy holiday season. Call 647-8262, and together we can address any concerns you may have and make certain all your medications are current. From our family to yours, happy holidays from American Medical Center, your partner in healthcare.
Make wish lists come true this holiday season with Coast 360. For a limited time, get 1% off your personal loan rate when you apply by December 31st, 2019. Loans up to $50,000 with flexible terms and no application fees. Apply online or at any member center. Terms and conditions apply. See print ad or Coast360FCU.com for details. May your holidays be merry and bright with Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
Today and good morning. It's 6:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyron with some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. A man is dead and another injured following a late-night auto pedestrian accident on Route 1 in Jigo on Saturday night. Police closed off most lanes in front of the Manhita laundromat while they conducted their investigation. The identities of the 2 men have not been released, but fire officials estimated that they were in their mid to late 20s. The man who died is the 17th person to die from a traffic-related accident this year. Singapore media are reporting the Republic of Singapore Air Force will set up a fighter training detachment at Andersen Air Force Base, Guam, under an agreement Singapore and the United States signed on Friday in California. The permanent fighter training presence at Andersen will be Singapore's 6th long-term unit overseas and the closest geographically to Singapore. 2 Singapore Air Force detachments are based in Arizona. Singapore also has a training detachment in Idaho, as well as one in Queensland, Australia, and then one in Bordeaux, France. Singapore's tight airspace leaves little room to train its fighter pilots at home. Elsewhere in the news, the Guam Regional Transit Authority plans to add more buses to its fleet after the agency's chief found out it has $400,000 in federal funds that have just been sitting unused for more than a decade. GRTA's interim executive manager, Celestine Babauta, says he met recently with officials from the Department of Transportation in Honolulu. Federal officials told him during a November 22nd meeting that Guam was given $400,000 in federal funds in 2005, and that money was never spent. Babauta says nobody knew about it, but now that he does, they are working on a plan on spending it. The new buses are badly needed, he says, with only 14 of GRTA's 23 buses and vans working. We'll have more news after this.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
We understand what matters to you because at Docomo Pacific, we're a family too. With the Now Family program, mom, dad, and kids stay connected on the latest devices the whole family can enjoy. For just $155 a month, get 3 lines with 30 gigs of 4G LTE data each, and endless use of your favorite apps without affecting your monthly data bucket. Add more, get more, save more. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
The Attorney General's office says they've received allegations against government officials, but they wouldn't specify the nature of the allegations, nor would they say who or how many government officials are involved. The office, in a release issued last week, said that they confirm that it has received allegations against government officials, and the Guam Police Department has been working to make sure that they receive all relevant reports and evidence. The release says the AG is actively reviewing the matters. Any felony charges would have to be brought before a grand jury. The AG's office wouldn't detail the allegations, nor would they confirm if it was related to the recent alleged assault by a Guam police officer on an arrestee. Well, police are looking for information on a school break-in last week, and they are asking the public for help. The burglary at Untalon Middle School. When officers arrived, they discovered a fire within the administrative office, and 5 classrooms had been broken into. The Guam Police Department is asking anyone with information to call GPD or Crime Stoppers. And the first 2 anonymous letters detailed a hostile environment and alleged poor leadership, but now another anonymous letter has been sent defending the leadership of the Guam National Guard. The letter written to dispute the previous letters, which were, quote, written to obviously discredit and embarrass the organization. These letters are grossly inaccurate and exaggerated, it stated. The letter states that most Guard members are happy with the leadership and the positive changes, and while they too don't agree with all the changes, they remain confident in Major General Esther Agegi. The previous letters asked Governor Leon Guerrero to meet with the soldiers, similar to meetings that she had with the Department of Corrections officers. However, the governor's office says she doesn't intend to have such a meeting. Governor's spokeswoman Janela Carrera says, unlike DOC, the National Guard and its soldiers are governed by the policies of the armed forces and the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and she expects these issues will be addressed in line with those processes. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
Thanks, Mona. It says here, partly cloudy skies, isolated showers, light and variable winds, highs near 88 degrees, and overnight lows about 77 degrees. Really, I thought it was going to be cooler than it was cold. I thought cold last night and cool when I stepped out here this morning. What's going on, Mike?
Well, what happens is
why am I not feeling 77?
Well, you're feeling 77. It's just you're feeling a dry 77. And so a drier 77 actually doesn't quite feel as cool as a wet 77 does. It's just kind of one of those things. But we are seeing some pretty cool mornings, even, a little nip in the air.
Yeah.
So
I'm digging it. Frankly, wish I was out running this morning. Glad to be here on the radio, though. But if you were training for something, this is one of those mornings. Don't wait too long. Get up and get moving. Sunrise, still another about 20 minutes away from now, 6:32 for sunrise. And Michael Knight's going to take a look at the weather radar, let you know what you can expect expect for the short drive to work today, because it's only going to be us on the roads today. Nobody else is working. And say, hold on, there's the radar. Nothing out there either.
There really isn't anything. The closest rain to us is probably, I guess you'd say it's about 100 miles way down to the southwest. Nothing in our area. They could see a shower or two as the morning progresses, but once we get into the daytime hours, the sun comes up, it will literally dry up any kind of moisture that's out there. And different levels of the atmosphere right now showing very dry conditions, so we're not expecting any rainfall of any significant amount over the next 2 or 3 days. We are really in a dry trade wind weather pattern. Looking at the satellite right here, that big swirly thing is actually an upper level low pressure area, which is pulling away off to the north and won't do anything for us. There are a few clouds that are drifting down towards the southwest of that system, but it's going to pull all of that up and just keep it well north of us. So we're in the dry slot, man. It's looking real good. Again, another day today of clear skies for the most part. The winds will be light. We won't have quite the same winds we've had for the past few days, so that might make it actually feel a little warmer out there today, but the air is still dry. So
there was some good breezing on Saturday. I went over to Teapow Beach for a little bit, and even though the sun was out and it was good grill marks time, it was difficult to feel the grill marks because there was this breeze that was coming in from the north end of the bay. But it was still enjoyable. I'll tell you what, 6:13 in the morning, and we'll start talking about weekend activities before too much longer. But that's news and weather together here on The Point, being brought to you by our pals over at Bank Pacific, banking on the Pacific for 65 years.
Did you know that home loan rates have plunged again? Would you like to take advantage of these lower rates to help lower your monthly payments? Refinancing doesn't have to be for another 30 years. It can be for 10, 15, or 20 years. It's up to you. Reduce your monthly payments. Pay off your loan earlier. At Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender. Credit conditions apply.
Rent, lease. What does Horizon do for you? Here's a clue. Advertising, marketing, screening, inspecting, instructing, leasing and signing, collecting and complying, inquiring and assessing, coordinating, repairing, renewing, enforcing, evicting, moving, cleaning, rekeying, communicating. Do it yourself and you'll find it taxing. We work hard to keep the vacancies low, so at the end of the month, you collect the dough. Proven and trusted. Horizon Properties. We do it all. 777-7792.
Are you ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your fix every day with the Points NFL Pick'em Contest. Get the latest updates as we check out the past week's performance and break down the upcoming action. Get your game on by calling the hotline at 888-TALK or sound off on Facebook Live at thepoint.gu. League members get a chance to win some awesome weekly prizes with a shot for your choice of a new GTA phone. The NFL Pick'em Contest is brought to you by Current Guam with special thanks to GTA.
All right, 6:15 in the morning, portions of the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by American President Lines. APL's got, global presence in a local home, and also brought to you by the team over at Wendy's. I'm pondering on the Facebook Live right now. It's a picture of the back of Pam Duvall's place, and I'm trying to figure, does she live in a prison? Because that sure looks like a high prison wall with, like, barbed wire up at the top of it, doesn't it? You getting that feeling when you look at that picture there?
Yeah, that does look a little confining.
Prison-y, doesn't it? It looks like she's shooting from the bottom of it. Pam, explain yourself. Portions of the program also brought to you by the team over at Wendy's. The best breakfast value on Guam is there. They got 5 local breakfast platters. There's eggs and rice and a breakfast meat for like $4. We got Applewood smoked bacon, pigs that make Applewood smoke. It's smoked. It's in the DNA. It's in the genesis of this pig. It's got the Applewood already in there, so there's less they have to do, and it gets it to your table faster. Gets it to the Wendy's platter a little bit faster. Also got Portuguese sausage and country fried chicken with gravy. It's Wendy's breakfast platter, only $4 at Wendy's.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
everybody doing? Are we groovy? Is there grooviness here on this particular Monday morning? There will be, 6:17 in the morning. As a matter of fact, it's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. My name is Ray Gibson, and as I have been now for, what is it, going to be 2 years here in a couple of months. Just thrilled to be with you on a Monday morning, and practically any morning, except Saturdays and Sundays. Those are the day off. I was looking at something. I was distracting myself again, as usual, looking over the calendar here. What? It's just Monday. You know, there's some people that just they're not Monday people. We talked about this before. There's this conventional wisdom that most people are kind of in suck mode on Mondays, and then they took this long survey and came to find that most people are in suck mode on Monday, usually about the same amount of suck. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. By Friday, you know, they know that Friday's, it's Good Friday, right? Tomorrow's the Saturday, and then Sunday on the weekend. So you get those 3 non-suck days. But I was looking at the calendar because I want to find out, wanted to give you something to smile about. On kind of a suck Monday. Okay. And so I was going to say, well, you know, it's okay because there's X many Mondays left in 2020. But as it turns out, there's still lots of Mondays left in the year. Today's the 9th. We got today, we got the 16th, the 23rd, and then the 30th. Not even the night before New Year's. It's the night before New Year's Eve.
Oh my gosh, you're right. There's 4 more.
Including
today,
4 Mondays left in the year.
And you know what's going to suck is
way to perk us up, Ray.
Tomorrow is a Tuesday, but it's going to feel like a Monday because
for a lot of people, right. Well, at least one of them is not even Christmas Eve. It's Hanukkah on the 23rd, and all 5 people, all the 5 Jews on Guam, are going to be getting together and celebrating that. Now, there are only 3 Fridays left in the year, so keep that in mind. And one of them, the one that's coming up now, is Friday the 13th. Does that mean anything to you? Are you a triskaidekaphobiac?
No,
you're not.
At all.
Friday the 13th mean anything to you?
Nothing.
All right, so good. So nobody has anything else to worry about. The other voices that you hear this morning that are trying to tame me on this morning, Michael Knight. It's Duke Sky Talker, and he'll take care of weather this morning, and he'll answer the phone when you call it 888-8255.
Yeah, I'm not superstitious about anything except how many bites it takes my cat to eat her food.
Are you counting that?
I do.
Yeah, we were talking about my daughter. My daughter went to Auntie Cheryl's house over the weekend, and apparently Auntie Cheryl has now a cat. And it's the cutest. I mean, it's not a cat. It's a kitten. It's still kitten, right? Mm-hmm. And that particular animal is just the cutest darn thing when they're that age. Yeah. But you know what? Eventually happens is they eventually grow up and become cats. And the only 2 things they want to do is scratch on your furniture. Or scratch you, depending on whatever's closest, and then eat and poop. And so she wants to she wants me to get a cat. She wants me to get the cat. And I'm like, okay, well, which room is the kitty litter going to be going to, and who's going to change the kitty litter?
Isn't she responsible for the dog too?
Yeah, she is responsible for the dog. Her dog doesn't like me anyway. So then we got that. Mana Silva Tyrant is in the Points News studio as well. Good morning, Mana. How you doing?
Good morning. It's cold in the studio.
I was gonna say, how was your weekend? But we were together most of the weekend. We were out. We had Jamaican Grill dinner
for busy weekend.
Brother Dave. We finally got around to having a birthday dinner for Dave, and that was nice. It was over at Jamaican Grill, and thanks very much to Shira is the name of the girl that took care of us last night.
Oh, thank you, Shira.
She was the one that was.
Was He-Man there too?
No, I was thinking it was one of those Ray moments, and I knew I was in a Ray moment
because Mia was sitting and laughing at him like, ew.
So we were taking pictures at the table, and Shira says, "Can I take a picture? Let me take the So she got the camera, and she took a picture of us, and I said, "Now take a selfie of you."
Yeah.
All right, smooth, right? Whatever. Anyway, 6:21 in the morning. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. And we're not the 3 of us here are not the most important people. Believe it or not, there's other people that are more important than. If it wasn't for these guys here, and you appreciate them on days where the other half of the population still hasn't gotten out of bed. Some of them probably haven't been home yet. They were out partying all night Sunday.
Good for you guys.
They knew the only thing they had to do was wake up by 2:30 to go to the procession, 3 o'clock for when things started. So these people are very, very important to the cause.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. rules are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
Oh, it's an easy one to get through here. Big Al Bautista is online, #1 today. And is it your birthday? Did you say down the line that December 13th is your birthday? Happy birthday to you coming up here, buddy. Ismail at #2. There's Sherry. John Ray Titano, off a day to you. Cheryl Ochai is there. Keena McCausland. And Keena, can I ask you a question? Because she works over at a Walmart up in Washington. Do you have at your Walmart the KFC fried chicken scented fire logs?
Man, they're coming in studio today. I want to talk to the guys and see if they could get us one of those.
That's going to be awesome.
That would be great. Out at the beach with some KFC scented log burning in your barbecue.
Can you
People
imagine?
wouldn't even know what to think.
KFC is bringing back their fried chicken scented fire logs after selling out in 3 hours last year. KFC is doing it again. They'll make the whole house smell like the 11 herbs and spices. This year, KFC teaming up with Walmart to sell them, so you can get them in plenty of time for your holiday celebrations. $18.99 for a log.
I wonder if you could use it in the smoker. In your barbecue pit.
So you'd have, why don't you just go to KFC and buy chicken?
Exactly.
But that's
Why
the thing.
would you want your house to smell like fried chicken and not actually have fried chicken in your house?
So you know what? We had over the weekend the Plumeria 10K in Agana, and the best part of that was running by KFC twice. You get to run by the thing twice. 6:24 in the morning. Where did I leave off? Keena McCausland's there. Dave Torrey, who is sweating out the San Francisco game, and who isn't? I say San Francisco is going to win in this particular event. And let me just take a quick look at the football pick'ems, refresh that, and see what happens.
But right now we're looking at just about ready to switch over to fourth quarter. San Fran leads by 2, 35-33.
Okay.
That's a shootout.
Right. So, and it has been like that for most of the morning. You and I both went in thinking this was going to be a great weekend for Houston. After that major victory they had over New England, and all they had to do was take on Denver. It's not like Denver's doing anything drastic this year.
Well, here's the funny thing, and I'll put myself out there because it's blatantly obvious that I completely blew all of my philosophies when it comes to picking these things. I talked about Houston's patterns and all these things. Well, of course, the pattern would be for Houston to lose this game, but I picked them to win anyway. And so they're losing in a big way right now, 38-10. That's crazy. God. That's what you call a letdown game. Once you get that monkey off your back, and that New England's Patriot monkey it's more like a gorilla. Once you get it off your back,
wait, you got to be kidding now. You got to be kidding. This team beat us, and they're getting shamed by Denver here. Anyway, 6:25 in the morning. So that's what's in Dave's head this morning. He's looking for another victory for San Francisco. I got Marilu Berseman is online this morning. Yoichi Rangel Tutau and Ali Palau. Sabine Chargaloff is hanging out. Sabine's very, very happy that we're actually at work today. She didn't think that we were going to be. It's a holiday today, and I didn't think you were going to be on. But I'm glad you are, because I'm heading to work also. Yeah, there's plenty enough of folks that are hitting the office this morning. Marvic Pareja is there. Lynn Vince, Borja Polino, Hafa Jesse Mendiola. Nice to see you back for another round of fun today. Pam Duvall is online. There's Mark Mendiola from the ET board. I see Liz Duenas, Ed Massey. Good morning to you. Joy and Finkel. James Vega says, I'm confused. I want the Niners to lose, but I need them to win. Go Seahawks. Does that make any sense to you? Who are they playing next? Do we know?
Seahawks play the Rams today, and actually, folks are kind of worried about that game. No, that makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
Explain yourself, buddy. Sonic Matau, not Angel, is online. Pam Duvall says, in reference to one of the stories that Monitor read, $400,000 GRTA is found. $400,000 that's been there for a decade.
Yeah, 2005.
She says it's a miracle nobody has stolen it yet. Festpack people, hands off. James Lester Lonzo is there. Ken Leon Guerrero, and Ken has already found the 3-inch in diameter piece of Tangan to bite through here this morning. He's already unnerved by one of the other stories that you reported, and I want to say, is it on the front page of today's Guam Daily Post? Hold on a second. It's Monday, so I got a ton of newspapers in front of me. Police investigating fatal crash. GRT. Maybe it's a page 2 story. There it is. Yeah, page 2 today. Page 3 of today's Guam Daily Post. Letter praises leadership of Guam Guard. Another anonymous letter This one in defense of Major General Esther Agagi, the Adjutant General of the Guam National Guard, has been sent to leadership and sent.
When I saw
sent
that, I
to the
wondered
media.
why they didn't put their name on it, though. I
Why
mean,
would you not? Why would you not? That makes absolutely no
why
sense.
are you scared to put your name on it?
Because it was written by somebody that has been criticized. That's what it is. If that, maybe it was written by somebody at the front office, you know, just going, all right, we've got to find a way to turn this thing off.
So
What do
that
we
was
got?
just something that stood out to me. Like, why would you not put your name on it if it's a good letter about your leadership?
Right. So you know, we had the doctor, the emergency room doctor last week that he was critical of Guam Memorial Hospital. Signed his name. This week. There is a letter from Dr. Jerome Landstrom that is in praise of Cousin Annie and the people over at Guam Memorial Hospital, and he signed his name to those. Ask me, those are the ones that we give weight to in this town. But you know, here it is. We've got the embattled Esther Agagi over at the Guam Guard, and two anonymous letters that criticize her leadership there, and then all of a sudden, bubbling out from nowhere, from under the lumut, comes this anonymous letter now in praise of her. If you really wanted to praise her, then I suspect you should have written your name there. Now it just looks like a setup. Nip Perlowski is there. Renee Lau. Good morning to Vicky Ganashis Borja and David Sargalov. Gina Kono's online. Juanita Machi is there. Bob and Connie Bartonico. And sorry I missed you guys over the weekend. I was kind of hoping to see Bob over at the Plumeria, but I think Bob ran instead in the bubble run. What'd you get? Third place, first place, second place, third place. I know you placed. I'm just not sure what number you got. When I zoomed in on the medal, I couldn't see what number it was. I see Rowena is there. Wen's online. Who else is there? Marla Carbolito and Jules Elmer, Rhea Babauta Garrido. There's James Howard. Rooster is the guy's name. Greg Carabrock from over on the Take Care place. Anthony Bennett, Leon Guerrero from the Family Finance. Nice to see you there. And online this morning, I got Bob Lizama. And what's that? There's the line from Ken Leon Guerrero. This supposedly positive, spontaneous letter reminds me of the spontaneous letter of support sent the Port Authority Board after I requested the replacement of Roy Respicio for meeting secretly with Guam's YTK owner, trying to settle the suit out of court. There's more. Click on the Seymour if you want to read the rest of it. And Charlene Marchessault is online as well. As usual, I'm anticipating big numbers of viewers and listeners here this morning. But some of you have learned the trick. And it's all right. So not everybody wants me to read their name on the radio, on the Facebook Live here. There are many people that are watching this on YouTube Live because they know I don't go there. There's a lot of people that watch it on the point.gu website. And there's a lot of people that just actually listen to the radio at 93.3.
Yes, they're actual old school people like me who listen to the
Found
radio.
an FM radio and pointed on 93.3, and that's the way to do that. But do me a favor. I'm not anticipating a whole lot of Guami names in the Facebook Live here this morning, which means there's more room in the pattern here for you to invite your family and friends, maybe on the mainland, maybe that don't know about the show. Do me a favor. Somewhere on whatever it is that you're watching or listening on is a share button. You get it? It's share button, and then we play a song by Cher, SHARECHER. Not everybody gets the gag, and maybe some of you might be tired of it, but we're not, and that's the important thing. Dave Torrey, Niners versus Saints. It's a shootout. Looks like it's going to be an 80-point game. Yeah, that's the other side of it. Look at the map and see how many points are getting scored here, and we're not even done on that game. Anyway, 6:31 in the morning. Coming up in the program, more Carlo-isms that I'm going to be reading to you from the pages of the good Guam Daily Post. Now with headlines from the Guam Daily Post, here's Mana Silva Tyron.
Police are investigating the latest traffic-related death. This one, a pedestrian struck along Marine Drive in Jigo. 2 people were injured in the auto pedestrian accident that took place around 7 p.m. near the Manhita Laundromat. The men have not been named, but fire officials estimate they are in their mid to late 20s. Both men taken to GRMC. One of them later pronounced dead. The Attorney General's office confirms they are looking into allegations against government officials, but they would not specify the nature of the allegations nor how many government officials are involved. The AG's office says they will work with GPD to ensure they receive all the reports and evidence. The AG's office would not confirm if it was related to a recent allegation against a Guam police officer who is accused of assaulting an arrestee. More buses for public transit users. GRTA discovered $400,000 in the coffers that hasn't yet been spent. The Department of Transportation notified them that $400,000 was given more than a decade ago. GRTA officials say the money will be used to purchase more buses. And those are some of your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, pick up a copy of the paper or log on to their website at postguam.com.
Boy, wouldn't it be great? That would just solve a lot of problems. Because a couple of weeks ago they had the lapsed bank account reports in the newspapers. The banks by law have to say that these accounts are inactive and come over to the bank and reactivate them, or we have to escheat that money and give it to the government of Guam for the purposes of the government. But wouldn't it be great if you opened up the newspaper and there was a thing from a bank that you forgot you had an account at, and you opened it up and there was $400,000 in there?
That would be so wonderful.
You'd almost be able to afford a nice house on Guam.
Most federal grants, if you don't spend it within a certain period of time, they take it back.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
And so I'm surprised that 10 years had lapsed.
See if we can find Sel about this morning and see if there's.
Because that's a long time for Department of Transportation not to have reached out to the government official and say, "Hey, why aren't you
use it or lose it?" I mean, isn't that usually within a year, 2 years, something like that?
Remember the ERA funding that was almost.
Vividly, yeah, ERA money, and I remember how hard it was to get that ERA money at the time. So what have we got? 6:33 in the morning. That's iConnect time. Swing by the nearest iConnect today. We're open, and ask them about saving money on mobile, internet, and push-to-talk plans. 888-8888.
The holiday season is here, and it gives us pause to reflect on the abundance of 2019 and to express our gratitude for Guam, the island we call home, and to all Guamanians. Our team here at Security Title is proud of the work we do to support ourselves and our families, to serve and care for our customers, and to give back to our community. May this season of joy and the new year bring happiness, good health, and prosperity to you and yours. Merry Christmas from all of us at Security Title.
Oh, it's going to take me a second to get this going. I have no idea, first of all, where the traffic gizmo is. It's somewhere in here. And second of all, I really don't think it's going to be much traffic here today. Hold on a second. Traffic gizmo. I'll get there in a sec. Where did I put it? There's on the screen. Okay. It's 6:34 in the morning. Clearly unprepared for this segment of the program. Let me just call up the thing and find out if there is anything out there that you need to worry about. Not even intersection traffic. Number one, it's early, and number two, there's a lot of people got the day off. There's some GovGuami folks that are going to enjoy some additional time with family and friends because they, got the procession here and the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. Sabine Chargaloff online this morning says, "Hey, not everybody. I work in the government of Guam. Not everybody has got the day off. So you know what, Sabine? That must mean you are critical. You got to be right up there with the governor of Guam. If they called you into the office to work on a holiday, that's the case, isn't it?
You might actually get a mural.
It's 6:35. That's right now. Traffic on the point.
Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Kelaguen Hafa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mezcla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mezcla, a true taste of Guam.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Morning talk that matters.
We got to change that. This morning talk that matters. It just sets the expectations up high for everybody, don't you think? I mean, can we get something morning talk that's just okay? Can we just do that? It's a morning guy that's just mediocre.
The guy that talks about stuff.
And there's plenty of stuff to talk about today. Now, I promised you there was going to be some Carlo-isms, and frankly,
he's my favorite.
I am delighted that Carlo Branch now works as a policy guy for the governor. You know why? Because he answers his phone. That's why I love Carlo Branch needed to have that job. I mean, I kind of got the gig that he was doing over at the legislature, but I mean, that's not someplace for a guy like Carlo. I mean, Carlo needs to be in a position where he is thinking and talking about what he is thinking.
Publicly.
Yes.
So here we got with this story, Adeloop, bills seeking to tap into excess 2019 revenues likely would have no practical effect. I mean, that's the upshot of the story, is basically the legislature believes that there might be $22 million in excess funds, additional revenue that had not been appropriated because they weren't anticipating. It's a plus side of what happens when we've got, a 5% business privilege tax and an additional tax on fuel and an additional tax on properties that are valued at over $1 million. So we've got that's what's happening and that's why there's all of this additional revenue. Now, what Adeloop's position is basically hands off. That's our dough.
Didn't it also have something to do with the Section 8 funding, the additional funding?
Well, it might have been. But I forget what the components are. But Les Carlson has been saying all
Not
along,
Section 8, that's
up and
Section
down.
30.
Right. Which they used a whole lot of to take care of the tax refunds, et cetera. But it has been the administration's position that that's their money, and they're going to use it to pay down the deficit because we got an $83 million deficit. So that's what Carlo Branch is saying. The fiscal 2019 unappropriated or excess revenues are more commonly known as the fiscal 2019 surplus at $22 million. Where's the fun quote here? Vetoing a budget. Oh, he was talking about the guys over at the legislature saying, well, wait a second, that's, it's in the budget, and there's a provision in the budget bill, as James Moylan has pointed out a couple of times, that says any surplus, a percentage of that needs to go to Guam Memorial Hospital. So they're saying there was a surplus and it should go there, and the guys over at administration are saying, yeah, but still, no, that we need to pay down the deficit from the surplus. So technically there is no usable surplus regardless of what was in the budget bill. And they're saying, well, why didn't you veto it? And they said, vetoing a budget because a well-intentioned provision may contain a flawed funding source is like sticking your head in an oven because you can't find a hat. What? I'll read it again. It's like sticking your head in an oven because you can't find a hat. What the hell? What? What is? You remember? There's one of those the cartoons where the guys Hansel, Gretel. Just what? I have no idea what that means. Is this one of those down-home country sayings? Is this something that people say, like in Texas? Is, well, heck, that's like sticking your head in an oven because you can't find it. You ever heard that phrase?
Never in my life.
No, not by.
Is that like shooting yourself in the foot?
No, that one makes sense. So waiting for the other shoe to drop. I mean, sayings like that make sense. But in this one here, just I'm trying to say it's like sticking your head in an oven because you can't find a hat. This is a guy that determines policy for the government of Guam and the governor, ladies and gentlemen. If a fund has, it goes on. There might be a little bit of clarity in the last statement here. If a fund has a negative balance, a deficit, it stays that way until a deficit amount turns into a surplus through excess collections over a period of time. It is currently inconceivable. There's another Carloism. Currently inconceivable that we can climb out of an 83-foot hole using a 23-foot ladder.
He watches a lot of cartoons.
That's just, I might be just overthinking something here. 83-foot, 83, I guess, is the size of the deficit, and 23 is the size of the surplus that we've got. Mm-hmm. So he wants to climb out of the 83-foot hole, maybe with a series of 22 and 23-foot ladders.
Maybe Mr. Branch fancies himself a modern-day Mark Twain.
But tell you what, find him an oven or a hat, one or the other. But I'm sorry, that's just some fun stuff coming out of the administration. There are a couple of other interesting pieces that I'd love to share with you. I think I will, because it's the morning show, and there's plenty of time for me to talk about stuff. Guam is turning into one gigantic airport. Are you feeling that? One way or the other, we seem to be getting more and more business. Sadly, we say goodbye today to Cebu Pacific. Today is the day that Cebu Pacific is officially going to stop flying out of Guam. We're not the only route that they're pulling out of. I'll tell you about that story in a little bit. But we've got Singapore Air Force coming to Anderson Air Force Base. I got this story on Friday, late in the day, and I figured it was going to be most of the weekend before anybody said anything. I also did not have it independently verified. I got it from a good source, but he was not in a position to say that this is an on the record off-the-record conversation, and so I didn't say anything about it to anybody, and all of a sudden I find out pretty much the next day, oh yeah, Singapore is making a big noise about coming to Guam and putting the Singapore Air Force detachment at Anderson Air Force Base, and already I'm sure that there's people running around with room for criticism. Guam Daily Post saying, well, that's not very nice or neighborly. It's Singapore people told Singapore before anybody told us here on Guam, and I'm going, yeah, you know what? It ain't a big deal because we're not talking about something that's happening tomorrow. It's not like the Singapore Air Force is going to start flying in and building hangars and doing all that stuff.
Not like they're bringing the whole Air Force.
Yeah, it's not like it's not an invasion, people. The Singaporeans aren't invading Guam. But I don't know. Personally, I feel a little bit safer knowing that these guys are going to be out there. They're talking about having everything done by what, 2029?
Yeah, I heard they're very polite flyers.
Oh, of course. And very clean.
Yes.
No chewing gum on anywhere in the airplanes of the Singapore airplane fleet. But I think that's going to be interesting with all of that activity coming out to Guam. Like I said, I feel safer already. But we're talking about 2029. It's not even 2020 yet. Everybody just calm down, relax, calm yourselves. It'll be all right. And you're going, yeah, but it's 2029. Still, still on the way. Let me point out how long it has taken us to get to where we are in the military buildup. You remember, guys, what was it, 2004, 2005, we started talking about 8,000 Marines coming to Guam and billions of dollars worth of spending to get it all done. And we still only got the same 24 Marines on Guam, right? And they're all
bit
working
more than that, but yeah,
they're all working on the Toys for Tots things.
And there's still work that's being done for the buildup.
No, I agree, but certainly not the size. I mean,
Right.
remember they were talking about peak buildup time in 2014. Heck, it's almost 2020, and they're still scratching dirt up at the what is going to be the Ben Blas place. I'm just saying, just calm yourselves. They're saying 2029. Maybe translate that to 2035 or something like that.
Still time to plan your protest if you're doing do so.
Yeah. If you're thinking I need something new to protest, Singapore Air Force, didn't they do something mean to us in the Second World War? Were they ever bad to us? Somebody will come out with something. Just wait. There will be one of those pronouncements that they shouldn't be doing this, or they didn't ask us first, or something ridiculous like that. Wait on it. It'll be there before you know it. 888-825-5888-TALK. Among the other interesting things that we get to talk about here, and a little bit of hey, what'd you do over the weekend? Saturday night, I got an invitation to go down to Petey. And in my mind, and I'm not to slight anybody from Petey. Petey's one of those places you go through on the way to another destination. I'm going to Agate. I'm going to go check somebody out, or I'm going down south. I'm going to go, run a race in Umatic or something like that. And you pass through Petey. Right? But I had the occasion to actually go to a destination in Petey on Saturday night, and I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I like Christmas lights. I like the idea of going to places, Skinner Plaza and looking at the Christmas lights there. The Christmas lights down in Tumon are absolutely gorgeous, and somebody said there was a real nice one in Petey. So I drove down to Petey, got into the village, over by the church, across the street from the church, where they've got the village park, and they've got that place absolutely decked out. I posted up on Facebook. They apparently have all of the lumut in the village up on their what do they call that? The creche? The nativity scene. Yeah. The nativity scene, which I think was built on the platform of a 40-foot truck trailer. It's huge. And there's the baby Jesus over there, and Mary and Joseph. And in the whole village, I think they were able to find 3 wise men. So they got those guys out over there, and there's animals. I mean, it's almost life-size nativity scene that they've got there. And like we have done traditionally since I was a little boy, we make in order for it to look like grass, the boys go out into the boondocks and we'll harvest a thing called lumut. Which is kind of a mossy, grassy kind of thing. Now, the idea behind lumut is you put it in small nativities because it makes it look like grass. Because the size of the one down in Petey, they just could have used grass because it's big. It's a life-size kind of nativity scene that they've got out there. But they went out there and, Peter Sant is calling it a Belen from our town, from the local colloquialism is a Belen. But they got out there and they just a huge amount of lumut there. which is absolutely spectacular. You need to go and see it during the day for a little bit and then go at night when they've turned on the lights. Now, the other cool thing, among the cool things that they have there, is they've built up a train. They got one of these kind of mule trucks, and they put together a whole bunch of, from what look like Tonkies, a whole bunch of cans behind it, and there must be a half dozen cans, and they put the kids in it with the moms and the dads, and they drive them around the village. Not around the village, but around the park. That's something that they're not doing. I don't think they're doing that.
And adults, I've seen get in those.
Oh yeah, I've got pictures of certain adults in there with little kids. I got pictures of adults taking kids out and then getting in to the Tonkies so that they can ride around.
Move, kid.
Yeah, but those things can be like the Roach Motel for adults.
Well,
You
yeah.
check in, but you can't check out.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Help me out here. Lift me up by my arm. 6:47 in the morning, and but I thought it was neat because there is an activity there. There's something to do other than because the kids are going to get bored after 2 minutes. Look, there's more lights. Great. Wonderful. Where's my iPad? Where's my phone? But you give them something to ride around in. And so the, quote, train station is right in front of a pop-up that they had at the PD Park. And under the tent of the pop-up was a stove and a kettle full of boiling oil. And the mayor was making Buñuelos Dago. He was making Buñuelos Dago.
And I was supposed, the chief of police does like an amazing Buñuelos Dago, and I was supposed to meet up with him yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, he sells it on his family, and he sell it on the side of the road every season. And
Really?
it's the best Buñuelos Dago that you'll ever try.
Wait.
I'll get you some.
This is the
I'll
chief
get
of
you-
police?
Yes.
Stephen Ignacio
Yes.
is making Buñuelos Dago.
Yes, he is, and he's done it for many years.
I was
so.
gonna say, I knew that was
It's a family thing that they do together.
All right, I knew it was.
It's good stuff.
I knew
So if
that
you
job
see him-
didn't pay $1 million a year, but just so.
Once in a while, he's over by the National Guard, where Mr. Wistig sells his corn. You'll find him there, and I was supposed to go meet him yesterday, but I didn't have a chance. But I'll get you some.
This is it's a thing then, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a thing.
I was, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to make. We got to find somebody to give us
That's right.
the
You
the
buy it from
explanation.
somebody who
You
does
buy
it
it from
for
somebody
you.
that makes it, and you watch
And then
these
you just
guys
fry it. You
when
fry
they
it
when they
when
make
you
it.
want.
You got to wear gloves because it comes out of the thing in the ground, right? The big heavy root.
Yes.
And you got to grind it up, and it's supposed to
The
be
doggo?
it's supposed to be so that it will make your
makes
hands
it
raw.
a little bit itchy, but
Yeah, that's how you know somebody loves you, if
just
they make
wash
you
it off.
Buñuelos Dago. All right, well, see if we can get some of that going here. Facebook Live, if you know where else people might be able to get themselves some Buñuelos Dago, that will be all right. Who else is online? Brother CJ Silva is watching the program on Facebook Live. Good to have you there. John Ray Uggan is on. I said Sabine is there and agreeing. Yes, you bet I am critical, and that's why. James Howard saying that the money that was stolen put back because the FBI is on the hunt. Ooh, let me riff on that. June Bells Carino is there. I got Joe Cruz. That's the real Joe Cruz who is hanging out. James Vegas says, I'll be back. I can't watch the show while I'm attending Sunday Mass. That's cool. You do that. And is Kenley and Guerrero chiming in about something? Talking about, there we are, fiscal responsibility, because we're going to hold back on the legislature's desires to spend $22 million until we figure out how to spend $22 million and convert that into less of a deficit for us. And Ken's saying, well, that never stopped the government from spending money it didn't have before. That's how we get to 100 million plus deficits every couple of years. That's okay. Ken, they're going to, eventually they're going to go, we're going to need at some point, every administration does this. They're just going to say, we need to have, I don't know, I'm thinking some kind of a loan out there. Marge CJ says governor needs to issue an executive order. No leave cash outs will be allowed. Eunice Mendiola, good morning. Cheryl Miranda Mesa, Auntie Cheryl is online with her new cat. Jay Pasqua is online this morning. I believe that Jay Pasqua is also the subject of an article in one of the Guam Daily Post with his book on modern poetry in translation. His poem entitled Tanui Imantau, Land of the Chamorro, was published in Poems from the Edge of Extinction, a book of poems in languages considered to be on the verge of extinction, published in England by John Murray Press and available on Amazon. And if you want to talk to him a little bit more about it, type in Jay Pasqua on your Facebook and say, what's up? Chicken Butt. Tony and Ed and Pico Ada are online. Ron and Cindy De La Rosa. You're still getting the cyborg noises, aren't you, Nick? I may have only heard it once over the weekend.
Did you just say chicken butt?
I did say chicken butt. Am I not supposed to?
I have no
You've
words.
used that phrase in your life, haven't you? What's up, chicken butt?
Not on the radio.
No, do that. You know what? Next time you're someplace, and you'll see her everywhere over the course of the holidays, next time you see the governor, just go, sup, chicken butt? And see what happens. See if you get tackled by...
She'll point at the mural.
The executive security up, Brad Hewitt's there, and so is Nate Horn. All right, goofing off here. Should I get to... Is there something substantive here? I knew it wasn't going to be. You know, people they were asking me. I went to a party last night. This is great. I went to a fondue party last night. I haven't said the word fondue since the 1970s. It was a fancy party. You saw I was dressed. I got together with some friends and went to a fondue party.
Yeah, I was teasing how he was dressed. I was like, dude, you're like Jimmy D. Why are you wearing that?
I was wearing my puka shells because it makes my tan pop.
Puka shells with a suit.
I'll post a picture up. But anyway, so we're
post a picture I took of you in traffic.
And the guys are saying, "What are you going to talk about tomorrow?" I said, "I have no idea what I'm talking about tomorrow. It's the weekend, but it's a weekend. It was a weekend in December. There's simply no real news happening in December that's going to be of any value or merit anytime soon. You know, this is how anxious we are. I was going to use another word, but this is how anxious we are for news to happen here. It is a front page story on Saturday's Guam Daily Post about Levin Camacho. Allegations against public officials have been raised, and this is the weakest sauce statement I've ever heard of in my life. The Office of the Attorney General can confirm it has received allegations against government officials. Guam Police Department has been working to make sure that we receive all relevant reports and evidence. The OAG, Office of the Attorney General, is actively reviewing these matters. Any felony charges would have to be brought before a grand jury, the release states in part. If there are any felony charges, we've been informed that there aren't any available grand jury proceedings in the next week. Now, that's according to spokeswoman Carlina Charfris. As I'm saying, this is how anxious we are for some kind of news. We've turned a report that says we're not getting... All we've got is allegations. Are they saying what the allegations are? No. Are they saying who they are against? No. But we've got allegations. So there's the story. We might be working on something soon at the Attorney General's office. And everybody in the Post newsroom loses their minds. Put that on the front page.
But the statement, the fact that they're waiting for GPD to give reports and evidence,
does that
kind of implies that it is connected to that investigation. Allegedly.
The alleged investigation on what, though? Which investigation are we talking about? Is it related to the Blas case? Does it have anything to do with the allegations now that the mayor could, from wherever his perch was, be able to push a button and get somebody out of jail? That he could identify certain pretty girls that might be in trouble with the law and have fun little sex parties with people from the police department and the marshals?
That too.
You know,
but more recently,
that now his lawyer is suggesting, unless that has anything to do with the methamphetamine that's been found in the lock boxes in the village, we'd like to have all of that stuff unavailable to the jury and in the court case. We'll see if he's able to get what are you calling that? The Burger King defense is try to have it your
pretty
way?
much. Yeah, he wants to have it his way, so it doesn't really work that way. But
not
more power
sure.
to him.
Yeah, I mean you can try. You can try, but here's the problem: is you are up against a really hardcore a bunch of FBI agents that are hardcore. These guys have done more in the last 6 months as the FBI. Think about it now. In the last 6 months, there's been more FBI activity, white collar crime activity, than there has been in several previous years. So we've got a very aggressive unit of Federal Bureau of Investigation guys out here, and I know the prosecuting attorney on this case, and to say that she is hardcore is an understatement. So yeah, you can ask for whatever it is that you want to. Trust me, they'll just come up with other stuff. I'm sure that there's a whole other file, right? An whole other document of other stuff. You want us to take that out? No problem. We take that out. You want to see what else we got?
Sounds like his stuff comes in boxes.
Yeah, we'll see where where the rest of the story takes us. So I think we're going to be talking about stuff like that. Time Magazine is set to announce their Person of the Year next week. They're getting close to the end of 2019. My God, the end of 2019, the closing of the decade, my friends. So ponder that when you start thinking about it. And there's something else. Maybe when Jerry gets in, I'll do a little bit of touchy-feely stuff on what it is that I'm going to be taping up on the mirror of the house that I look at every day. For the most part, what I've been looking at in the mirror is my face. But I'm thinking maybe I need to put some kind of word, affirmation on the mirror. I was thinking about it should be gratitude, because really I've got a lot to be thankful for. I mean, I'm working with my sister, working with Mike, working with you guys on the radio has been just a great a re-addition to my life. Family, friends, things like that. It's all just absolutely terrific. But I was thinking maybe there needs to be other words that will go up on the mirror, so you can look at it and make it the word of the year. So and maybe a word of the decade if you want to, and come out with your own kind of 10-year plan. Anyway, 6:57 in the morning. So Time Magazine getting ready to announce their Person of the Year. I don't know.
You're a finalist again this year, right?
As usual. Yeah. You know what? I'm always a finalist, but I never get the tap. I never get the tap. You know what? Speaking of things I'm waiting to get tapped on, I told you I was a possible match. I mean, the numbers line up for me to match with a bone marrow somebody in the state, someplace in the state. I don't know who it is. They don't tell you. It's like, adopting kids and stuff. Unless the parent wants you to know, they generally shield that information. And so a couple of weeks ago, you remember we did the swab on the Facebook Live. I sent it off. I'm kind of annoyed. I haven't heard back from anybody yet on whether, I knew that there was going to be some time. This is not a fast process, but I kind of on pins and needles at my ends, waiting to find out if I'm going to be the match for somebody. I got my fingers crossed. So I'm in it to win it. That's why I signed up for the marrow, because I want to participate in perhaps saving somebody's life. And the other fun part of it is because Dr. Shea said that they're probably going to have to do the blood work or whatever, the bone marrow taking out of in the Philippines. And I thought, well, there's another excuse to go to the Philippines. What the heck? How about that? 6:59 and change. Somebody here writing on Guam. Yeah, James, you're thinking exactly where I wanted you to take this conversation. The Person of the Year, nationally, internationally. I don't know who it's going to end up being. Who is the Person of the Year for Guam? James Howard says the Person of the Year ought to be Troy Torres, for everything that he has been able to do. At the beginning of the year, there was no candidate news, right?
It started last year.
Did it? Okay. Well, it certainly has blossomed.
Middle of
Blossomed into something much bigger than it was when it started this year. Start putting together your list, your top 10 list of who ought to be the Person of the Year for Guam in 2019. It's closing in on 7 o'clock in the morning. I got Fox News Live coming up next. On the other side of that, it's going to be Mona Silva Tyron reading news from the Guam Daily Post. Jerry Roberts got the extra point. We'll take a look and see what happened on the market and look at the commodities like we always do. That's ahead right here on the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3. This is The Point.
Did the Saudi gunman act alone? I'm Jane Metzler, Fox News. For the first time, the FBI calling it a terror investigation, piecing together where military trainee Mohammed al-Shamrani went, who he met, and what he wrote. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live with the latest.
Jane, the gunman who opened fire on Naval Air Station Pensacola, killing 3 people, may not have acted alone. FBI Special Agent in Charge Rachel Rojas says investigators are trying to determine if the Saudi Air Force lieutenant was part of a larger network.
The FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force and the FBI's Counterterrorism Division are working tirelessly to discern, if any, possible ideology that may have been a factor in this attack.
The shooter, who was killed on the scene, purchased his firearm legally. Jane.
And Rachel, as you know, he purchased that gun in Florida. Investigators believe Shamrani and 3 other Saudi trainees visited New York City, including Rockefeller Center. Says before the shooting rampage, they were looking at museums and other sites, but they are trying to determine the purpose of that trip. Senator Lindsey Graham, an Air Force veteran, meantime, wants the Saudis suspended from the military training program here until, quote, we can figure out what is going on. And he agrees with President Trump's decision not to participate in tomorrow's House impeachment hearing, calling it unfair.
This is being driven by Schiff and Nadler, Pelosi, partisan people. I think it's going to meet a quick end in the Senate.
Graham on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures. The House Judiciary Committee is expected to vote later this week on articles of impeachment, likely to include abuse of power and obstruction. America is listening to Fox News.
Did you know that home loan rates have plunged again? Would you like to take advantage of these lower rates to help lower your monthly payments? Refinancing doesn't have to be for another 30 years. It can be for 10, 15, or 20 years. It's up to you. Reduce your monthly payments. Pay off your loan earlier. At Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender. Credit conditions apply.
Hafa Adai Tritons, this is Chelsea St-Nicholas, president of the UOG Alumni Association. I made some of the best memories during my time as a Triton. Because of this, I have committed to giving back to the G is for Giving campaign, which will help student scholarships, programs, and activities. And I encourage you all to do the same. To make a tax-deductible donation, log on to give.uog.edu by December 31st or call 735-2957.
Viva UOG!
Black tape on police badges. Officers wearing it in 2 cities after fatal shootings yesterday.
Both of these officers were fatally shot just within hours of each other last night. The Arkansas officer had been with the Fayetteville Police Department since April of 2017. Police say the 27-year-old officer, Stephen Carr, was ambushed and executed around 9:45 last night when he was sitting in his patrol car behind the police station. He was shot at point-blank range. Officers say they found the armed suspect, 35-year-old London Phillips, behind the police station. Officers say there was a confrontation. They fired their weapons, and Phillips died at the scene. Carr was described as a dedicated officer who just wanted to serve his community. The Arkansas police chief says the FBI will assist in the investigation of his death. He held a press conference this morning and said he believes the man who fatally shot Carr wasn't targeting him specifically, but was just looking for an officer to kill.
Fox's Christina Coleman, a Princeton doctoral student imprisoned in Iran, swapped for an Iranian scientist accused of violating U.S. sanctions. This as Iran's leadership tries to quiet dissent at home.
In an effort to combat U.S. sanctions, the Iranians today announced a new budget that, if approved, would slightly increase public wages for civilians. The big announcement made by Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, who is in the process of trying to rein in public support. In a speech before the Iranian parliament, Rouhani outlined the $39 billion plan that includes a $5 billion loan from Russia. In its current state, 15% of the budget would go to public wages in a country that has seen inflation rates rise to 40% and increased prices from imports. Now, since the U.S. pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal last year and reimposed sanctions, Iran's economy has begun to crumble.
Fox's Trey Yingst for a third straight weekend, Frozen 2, icing out the competition at the box office, making another $34.7 million. I'm Jay Metzler. This is Fox News.
Hey, what's that?
A Subway Big Hot Pastrami?
My big hot pastrami?
No, my Subway Big Hot Pastrami. Get your own.
Get your own Subway Big Hot Pastrami. Tender, juicy beef on freshly baked sunflower crunch bread, topped with pickles and mustard. Finish off your meal with all new seasoned potato wedges, baked to perfection right in the restaurant. Both available for a limited time only. Subway, make it what you want.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
When you think about better water, think Connecticut softened water. Connecticut water conditioners work like no other, supplying a continuous flow of luxuriously soft water without disruption and without use of electricity. After all, better water flows from better thinking. Connecticut.
American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water.
Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Half a day and good morning. It's 7:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyron, and here are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. A man is dead and another injured following a late-night auto pedestrian accident on Saturday in Jigo. Police closed off most of the lanes in front of Manhita Laundromat when they conducted their investigation. The identities of the men have not been released, but fire officials have estimated that they were in their mid to late 20s. Both men were taken to GRMC, where the second one was pronounced dead. Indicted Jotnya Mayor Jesse Mendiola Blas wants certain testimony and evidence in his federal case excluded from being used at his trial. Blas stands accused of receiving bribes in exchange for providing an alleged drug dealing operation access to cluster mailboxes under the mayor's office's control. Defense attorney Joseph Rosano last Friday filed a motion in the District Court of Guam to exclude testimony that the FBI had provided, which accused Blas of abusing his ex-girlfriend, Vicalyn Teragedzu. He also wants FBI testimony kept out that alleges tampering with the Superior Court of Guam's probation system, as well as testimony involving former DOC Deputy Director Joey Terlahi and other Superior Court marshals or probation officers. Defense argues that the testimony is irrelevant to the charges in the indictment. Court documents also state a jury could convict Blas based on allegations surrounding Terlahi and negative public sentiment toward the Guam Department of Corrections. Blas, meanwhile, remains in jail awaiting his trial. Vice Speaker Talena Nelson, in coordination with the Jotnya Mayor's Office, will host a town hall meeting to hear the concerns of Jotnya residents on the public safety and community welfare concerns. The town hall will be at 7 p.m. on December 18th in the Jotnya Community Center. Nelson says residents have been urging island leaders to hear their concerns about public safety and community welfare. The village doesn't have a working mayor since Jotnya Mayor Blas remains in jail. After his arrest in September, that meeting again will be on December 18th at 7 p.m. in the Jotnya Community Center. Well, a couple of public hearings scheduled for tomorrow at the legislature. The first one at 9 a.m. on 3 bills. One would establish a stipend for police reserve civilian volunteer program members, and a bill by Senator Jim Moylan relative to the expenses that the governor of Guam is authorized to expend in the event of a declaration of emergency for civil defense, public safety, or health care. And another bill up for public hearing would appropriate an additional $500,000 from the unappropriated general fund balance to recruit more corrections officers. That hearing begins at 9. Then at 5, the legislature will call officials from the Guam Historic Preservation Office for an oversight hearing. More news after this.
GRMC's Neuroscience and Neurology Department treats a wide spectrum of disorders associated with the nervous system, spine, and brain. Some of the more common disorders include seizures, epilepsy, dementia, sleep disorders, migraine, and stroke, which is one of the leading causes of death on Guam. GRMC's neuroscience team is equipped with the latest technology and the finest neurological doctors. To make an appointment, contact GRMC Specialty Clinics at 645-5500.
What's for breakfast at KFC under $3.95, you ask? What's for breakfast at KFC that's different than the other guys, you ask? KFC's chicken wrap, sausage wrap, the Colonel's chicken congee, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuit and gravy, and biscuit sandwiches made with KFC's original fluffy biscuits. All for under $3.95 and all only at KFC. Plus, with waffles and the Colonel's chicken fried rice, we've got something for everyone.
So visit KFC for breakfast today. It's finger-licking good.
Singapore media is reporting that the Republic of Singapore Air Force will set up a fighter training detachment at Andersen on Guam under an agreement that Singapore and the U.S. signed just last week in California. The permanent fighter training presence at Andersen will be Singapore's 6th long-term unit overseas and the closest geographically to Singapore. Two Singapore Air Force detachments are based in Arizona. Singapore also has training detachments in Idaho, Australia, and in France. Singapore's tight airspace leaves them with little room to train their fighter pilots at home. And the Guam Regional Transit Authority plans to add more buses to its fleet after the agency's chief found out $400,000 in federal funds have been sitting unused since 2005. GRTA's interim general manager, Celestine Babauta, says he met with officials from the Department of Transportation in Honolulu. They informed him that the $400,000 had been given in 2005 and was never spent. He says he will use that money to purchase buses. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
How come we can't use that for FestPac? I mean, it sounds like they need the money.
You might get a little pushback from Department of Transportation.
Could be just a little bit. I mean, but we haven't spent it so far, and they're not mad, so what the heck? We're going to be able to use it. We'll use it to help pay down the deficit. How's that? 7:11 in the morning, partly cloudy skies, isolated showers today, light and variable winds. Daytime highs today should be about 88 degrees. Overnight lows should be about 77 degrees, so the temps will be 88, but I suspect it's going to feel much cooler than that, especially if you're in the shade. And there's a nice breeze following you around because it's just that time of year. And I think there's a little bit more crispness in the air because it's so dry.
Absolutely. You know, when you get out there in the mornings, you can really feel a big difference in the way the air felt now compared to even just a couple of weeks ago when we still had tropical weather rolling through. Taking a look at the radar right now, not much in our general area, some stuff way down to the south and southeast, not coming this way. It'll slide on by. We're in the changeover from nighttime to daytime, so what showers are out there are starting to dry up a little bit, and quite frankly, there's just not a whole lot of moisture in the atmosphere to generate any more shower activity. The thing to note today, it's going to be kind of warm because the winds are not going to be as strong as they have been. We'll have those light and variable winds. In the summertime, this can lead to island effect thunderstorms, but going back to what I mentioned a moment ago, and the fact that there's just not enough moisture in the atmosphere right now to support hardly any kind of rainfall, so it will just be a warm day with light winds. It's going to be nice out there.
All right, 7:13. Do you want to take a look at the satellite real quick?
We can do that real quick. Just showing what's going on here. We're in a real nice clear zone. We've got an upper level low pressure area up to the northeast, but it's pulling off to the north. It will have absolutely no effect on our weather at all. If you look over on the comments section, over on the left side, upper left portion of the screen, you can see cold front, a shear line. It's that time of year, and they're starting
to turn those comments off so everybody can see what you're talking about.
It's a pretty strong shear line that's already made its way about halfway through the Philippines, and so they're enjoying some nice cooler weather and some Amihan winds. That won't probably make it here, but we can expect a shear line to probably press its way through here sometime in the next couple of weeks. Sooner or later, it's going to happen.
7:13, that's news and weather together here on The Point.
Rent, lease. What does Horizon do for you? Here's a clue. Advertising, marketing, screening, inspecting, instructing, leasing and signing, collecting and complying, inquiring and assessing, coordinating, repairing, renewing, enforcing, evicting, moving, cleaning, rekeying, communicating. Do it yourself and you'll find it taxing. We work hard to keep the vacancies low, so at the end of the month, you collect the dough. Proven and trusted. Horizon Properties. We do it all. 777-7792.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show being brought to you by APL, that's American President Lines, global presence and a local home. American Water, better water, passionate about better water for you and your family. In Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs.
It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Lousy set of numbers I'm looking at for the commodities. Normally I put the commodities at the end, but Tapas trading much higher today than it was on Friday. Touching very, very close, within 18 cents of being passing over that $70 a barrel threshold. I put gas in the car this morning. I would advise you to do the same thing soon. If you were near Ever Ready, put some gasoline in at the $4.14 a gallon price, because if this thing crosses over 70, I think every gas company on Guam is going to start raising prices reactively. 67.68 last week. Today, 69.82. Not much better for West Texas crude, also getting close to the $60 a barrel mark. $58.42 for a barrel of that stuff. $59.20 is what it's trading for today on the market. So watch out for that. If you are buying some gasoline in the near term, I would suggest that you buy it before they raise the prices. Jerry Roberts shaking his head. No,
come on,
just
man.
walk. We've got a good mass transit system here. Just walk.
We're getting close to Christmas. They're not going to raise the prices.
S&P 500, 3145. They picked up 28 points in trade. The NASDAQ at 8,656. They're up by 85 points. Dow Jones Industrial Average back over 28,000 at $337.27. Now, there is no Feast of the Immaculate Conception on Wall Street, so we'll get some new numbers when it gets to be tomorrow, but that's all based on their Friday close. The FTSE is also up 101 points, 72.39. Nikkei, 54 points green to close at 23,354. Hang Seng is green at 26,498. They picked up 281 points. Very healthy Asian markets here. Shanghai is up by a dozen points to close at 29.12. And there's some really interesting news about what might be happening around here in the Asias. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the Fox News that we've been running, but there's a run and gun conversation going on about some military movement here in the region. Story number one: those in touch with the thinking of Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea claimed that he is now, quote, at the end of his patience with U.S. President Donald J. Trump. They warned that a breakout moment is close in which DPRK Supreme Leader Kim will, quote, challenge the U.S. and Japan to risk destruction on a World War scale, or accept that Pyongyang will never consent to handing over responsibility for its security to Washington by foregoing the only effective defense against aggression by the U.S. and Japan, which is the dual possession of nuclear weapons and delivery capability. He wants to be able to have second strike deterrent capabilities, not necessarily interested in first strike maneuvers, but he's saying, you know, if those Americans and the Japanese get frisky around here and send a nuke in our direction, we'll have second strike capabilities, which will render the island of Guam, certainly, and maybe parts of Japan, into nuclear waste for thousands and thousands of years, an actual millennia. So how much we believe that, what steps the United States is going to take based on statements like that, I don't know. But there has also been, this was one of the most covered stories on non-Guam-based media that I've seen all morning long. Taiwanese newspapers reported Friday that at least 2 B-52 Stratofortress strategic bombers from Andersen Air Force Base on Guam had overflown parts of the East China Sea a day before, close to Taiwan's littoral waters and those claimed by China after they hurtled past the Miyako Straits. Taiwan's defense ministry has neither confirmed nor denied reports that the U.S. warplanes could have skirted its flight information region, namely areas surrounding the island and its waters, but not necessarily its territorial airspace. Obviously, they're not concerned in Taiwan because we're kind of allies and we probably don't have any malicious intentions towards that particular island. It was the first time this year U.S. B-52s had shot over or even entered Taiwan's FIR. The B-52s originated from Guam, buzzed the East China Sea, shot over Japan's Okinawa, and then come back home to Guam. Maybe you saw them. Maybe you saw them do that. Now, this is in response to bomber presence, Chinese bomber presence in the area, the People's Liberation Army's H-6Ks, as well as other more strategic bombers under development and under trial by the military there. And that's what they're trying to be able to do, is to provide a line of defense through the first and second island chains. First island chains, Japan, Philippines, all of those places are the Taiwan first chain. Second chain is, believe it or not, us. The Mariana Islands are that second chain. That's how we are viewed by the Chinese. 7:19 in the morning. A couple of other things that are happening, and it's still a little bit disappointed to hear that it doesn't look like we've got a last-minute reprieve. Cebu Pacific is shutting down a couple of routes today. There's a resort town in Cambodia. Siem, I think, is Siem Reap. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. I'm sure somebody's going to call and tell me Siem Reap.
Yeah, actually, Siem Reap.
Siem Reap. Siem Reap is the way. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. It's good to have you around.
That's where you go.
You're a handy fella.
That's where you go when you go to see Angkor Wat.
Your team sucks today, but
They tried to come back.
I saw that. Cebu Pacific is going to stop flying to Siem Reap. Siem Reap today. Today is also, after 7 years, they're going to stop flying back and forth to Guam. Cebu Pacific is all done. Effective today, they've got route viability becoming a concern for the Cambodian city and for Guam, and they think that there might be other places up to and including Japan that they might be able to fly into. Now, generally, we're not necessarily concerned about this thing because it's airplane business, right? There's another budget carrier somewhere that might want to come in and fly to Guam, and there is. Doesn't look like they're getting a lot of traction, though. Heavy competition from United and the heavy influence of United over in the United States to say, well, wait a second, you know, they're not real forthcoming with places for us to fly into in the Philippines. Maybe we ought to restrict the number of airplane slots they can fly into to in the United States, competition being what it is. 7:21 in the morning, Jerry Roberts in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How you doing there?
Good.
Was it a great weekend?
It was a quiet weekend.
A quiet weekend. Unlike the rest of us who had noisy, crazy weekends, went down to Petey. Have you seen any of the light shows that we've got going on these days?
No.
Beautiful one in Petey. Obviously, Skinner Plaza has got one, and then there's one over at in Tumon, right across the Hyatt, which is wonderful. There's a little maze in there, so go and take the kids in there and get them lost, and then you and Mrs. go over to Al Dente and get something to eat.
Well, I've seen that's GVB's thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen that in past years.
And they apparently they just lit one off over at the legislature. Where it was, they've got the parade of trees. Yeah, I know. couldn't have just gotten one big tree. They got to have a tree for every senator over at the legislature, and yeah, that's where the taxpayer money is going to be going.
But they do that inside the.
Yeah,
Congress
where
House,
everybody
right?
can see it, right? Makes
If you watch session, you'll see it. And I think it's on the floor, on the floor and in the lobby area. That's how I've seen it in the past couple of years.
Ismail venting here this morning about the video skinning that they do on the front of your museum, which the technology behind it. I kept wondering what that thing was. I had no idea.
I haven't seen it, but
if you go by
the video you had,
right. So if you go by the Rotopope, right across from that is a stand, and I was wondering what the heck they were using that stand for, whether somebody was delivering speeches or something like that. But that's apparently where they have the technology that takes the videos and sticks them up on the wall. And Ismail is venting. He says, "How the heck can a pro-abortionist celebrate the birth of our Savior? Here's this great, beautiful presentation presenting baby Jesus and the Holy Family, and then bam, in your face, Lou and Josh." And he says the Christmas music in his head changes from Christmas holiday music to the music they play in The Omen. Wait, we have that, don't we? I love
oh, wow,
Damien.
you did have it.
You do have it. Yeah, I told you he's a handy guy. That's why we keep him around. Anyway, so that there's some interesting stuff there. Now, I did get into some interesting technology Saturday night when I was all done with the light show and the choo-choo train that they've got over at the Petey Park. I went to Venue, and at Venue they had a thing, and they apparently done it once before and had so much fun doing it, they did it again. It's a silent disco.
I was wondering what that was.
It's a silent disco. So you walk in, you pay $10, and they give you a set of headphones. Like Bluetooth headphones, and everything is computerized and everything is connected, and there's two buttons on it. One of them is to raise and lower the volume, and then the other one is to change the stations that the Bluetooth headphones can receive. And there were 3 different DJs all night long spinning 3 different kinds of music, and you put the headphones on and you can hear all the cool stuff. There was some nice R&B and some dancey stuff, and
don't
some,
have to talk to anybody.
Urban cop killing rap stuff in there, and then you take the headphones off and the place was silent except for people talking. And I thought that was about the neatest thing in the world. And there were people dancing. And the fun thing was trying to figure out which of the 3 stations they were listening to based on the moves that they were making. and you're clicking your headphones until you get to something that approximated the moves. And then like I said, you take the headphones off and you watch them dance, and there's no music playing. And it was the funnest thing to go and do, and one of the best uses of $10 that I've had. For $10 also included a drink.
And so you can enjoy yourself, and if you're tired of talking to the person next to you, put your headphones
and
back on.
And I want to say it's Tony and Annette, the Monster Master. What's the Random Master the podcast that they do? Tony's boy has a podcast.
Gosh, I'm
all right. That Master
I'm
Random,
way
I think,
beyond
is
those
the
years.
Master Random is I think the name of it. And I want to say that Chris Groh is otherwise involved in it too. A couple of new entrepreneurs trying their hand with interesting technology.
Cool.
Jerry Roberts is in the studio. Must be time for the Extra Point, Monday's Extra Point, and we'll see what we can riff on after that. Is brought to you by Guan Insurance Services and the guys over at First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
You've given notice to your employer that you're moving on. How will the time until your departure play out? Today, some thoughts on how to best utilize this time. It's next on the Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
We buy a homeowner's policy and never give it another thought until something happens. Life brings changes, and our coverage needs can change. The smart thing to do is get the answers and level up our insurance to make sure we're totally protected.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Ever notice how that one perfect holiday gift is just out of reach? Or how sales on the stuff you want all come at the same time? This season, plan ahead with a holiday loan from First Hawaiian Bank. Now you can afford to be nice without being naughty. For more details, visit FHB.com or any branch to apply. Additional restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
My mom once told me that if I ever left the job, do so on the best terms possible. I covered that and more in Extra Point number 160, which you can download at GuamTraining.com. She said something else: to give my employer full effort right up until the moment I walked out the door for the last time. It was good advice. I used it during my career, and I'm glad that I did. When I left KUAM in the 1980s, I gave over 2 months' notice, not the usual 2 weeks. I was moving to the mainland U.S. and saying goodbye to good friends who face an uncertain future, so I wanted to give them as much time as I could to get things squared away. The station was in a difficult situation, and I was responsible for a large percentage of company revenue. I knew leaving wouldn't help in the long run, but staying through the Christmas holidays would bring in more dollars. That would be better for the here and now. I worked in radio in L.A., and after about 3 years, I decided to switch gears and leave broadcasting. I gave my employer 3 months' notice that time. Sometimes you can't give a lot of advance notice in quitting a job. If you're taking another position, your new employer may not agree to a lengthy delay in bringing you in. That said, what kind of impression would you make on them if you said, "My current boss is in a tight spot, and I care about the people there. If it would help them by me providing 4 weeks instead of 2, can you live with that?" Maybe they say yes and maybe no. However, only someone completely out of touch would miss the message. Wow, this is a person with character. This is the way he or she is going to treat us. Now, whether you ultimately need the extra time or not, you've shown the people you'll be working with who you are as a person. You'll have made a great first impression and put yourself on the right radar screens, too. And that current employer, you will also have left a lasting impression with tremendous respect for you and how you conduct your business. So how should those final days with your present employer go? Like my mom said, you give 100% every day with maximum energy, creativity, new ideas, and delivering huge value. If your replacement is chosen, make them as ready as they possibly can be so that the operation doesn't skip a beat. Let them know they can always call you if they need advice, even after you're gone. Brief your boss on the state of your position, where you are with projects and any clients or vendors. Send thank you notes to those clients and vendors, and make in-person visits introducing your replacement. Finally, take some time to let coworkers know how you feel about them, your gratitude for their friendship and the time that you were teammates. This is how you honor relationships and make sure they continue. It also sets a great example for others, including your kids. That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
Yeah, I think in just about every case where it's only happened a couple of times in the last couple of decades that I'd left a job. When I left Hit Radio, I want to say that I gave them something on the order of a couple of months' notice because it was a major shift. They accepted the notice and said, "Tell you what, just do the show. You don't have to do anything else, and leave at 10 o'clock." And that's what I did for a couple of months. That period was cut short by a typhoon that ripped through and knocked everybody off the air. And then the most recent one, I had given 2 weeks' notice. But they opted to release me immediately.
And sometimes that happens.
Yeah. But I mean, the offer was there. Look, the intention was there because I knew, first quarter of the year was going to be a tough time, and I knew what I was responsible for revenue-wise in the company, so I gave them some time, and they just decided that they could do without me earlier. So it was a happy Valentine's Day, I think, for everybody that year.
Yeah, it works out.
7:30 in the morning. I can't leave this job because I'm managing partner. I think I'm going to die in here. I think that's the plan. Jerry Robertson, The Extra Point, and if you want transcripts of that, and it's just about being nice, common sense and courtesy. A lot of that in there. Find it at GuamTraining.com. Brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and our friends over at First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes. You've got questions about real estate, and maybe you're sitting on a piece of property and hearing about Cisco Hutapea talking about the median on the price of a new house is what, $270,000. Maybe you're sitting on a piece of junk property and you're going, maybe it's time to sell. Who am I going to sell it to? You don't worry about that stuff. You call Auntie Lolita Kamet at Diamond Remax, Diamond Realty, for all of your real estate needs. If you got a piece of property, she'll tell you what you might be able to expect out of it in this boom time, if you will, at least on the prices. Call her, 688-6743. Again, Lolita's number is 688-6743. With news now from the Guam Daily Post, here's Mana Silva-Tyron.
Attorney for Jotnya Mayor Jesse Blas has filed a motion in the district court wanting to exclude certain testimony and evidence from Blas's trial. Blas stands accused of receiving bribes in exchange for his participation in a drug operation in his village. He wants excluded allegations of abuse and any testimony involving former DOC Deputy Joey Terlahi and any Superior Court marshal or probation officer. Jotnya residents, meanwhile, have a chance to talk about their concerns over public safety with a town hall meeting now scheduled for next week. Vice Speaker Talena Nelson calling that meeting to hear concerns over public safety and the community welfare. The town hall meeting will be at 7 p.m. on December 18th at the Jotnya Community Center. And police are investigating the latest traffic-related death. This one, a pedestrian struck along Marine Drive in Jigo. 2 people were injured in the auto-pedestrian accident. It took place about 7 p.m. near the Manhita laundromat. The men have not been named, but fire officials estimate they are in their 20s. Both men taken to GRMC, one of them later pronounced dead. And those are some of your headlines from the Daily Post. For more on these stories, pick up a copy of the paper or log on to postguam.com.
7:32 in the morning, and good morning, Cousin Troy, who says he's up. He's listening to the broadcast.
Good morning, my most favorite,
making some trouble right here in the second chain. He's making trouble. It wasn't just corruption and loosey-goosey policy and stuff here on Guam. Now he's looked at what's going on inside.
And apparently, First Lady D is here.
Wow.
So he put an APB out for her yesterday, asking anyone who sees her take a picture of her.
Take pictures, right?
I suspect Kmart or Ross. Maybe the go-to
early shopping in the morning. Maybe some of that stuff is going on around here. 7:33, and that is iConnect time. Run to the nearest iConnect and ask them about saving money for you. We got all kinds of ways to do it with mobile, internet, even push-to-talk plans.
Lolita Kamet from RE/MAX Diamond Realty, a friendly, hardworking, and passionate RE/MAX professional, is committed to helping you make a difference in your life and to helping you achieve the American dream of home ownership. She also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, and military and corporate relocation. So for all your real estate needs, call Lolita Kamet from RE/MAX Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
7:34 in the morning, and there's no traffic today. It's like Saturday out there in a lot of places. There's a lot of people in the government of Guam are enjoying kind of a day off, in silent, holy preparation for this afternoon's procession that all members of the Gov Guam family are going to be going to, because that's why you get the holiday. You might find some traffic up in the north end of town. Generally, looking at the intersection of Route 16 and 27, a little bit of traffic coming out from the Cost You Less area there. A little bit of traffic coming out on the mall side. By the time you get up to Teedson, you'll see a little bit of traffic over at the intersection there that takes you onto Route 16 and all the way across to Bellow Street, and then that's it. I don't see anything else happening. 8, 10, and 16 is running clear, and hey, they've done. I'm just going to say this now. They've done an outstanding job doing the lane markings at that intersection. I went through there yesterday. and it didn't take me 2 hours. But I went through there, and they were laying down all the different stripes and the little reflector things on the ground. Really, really looks terrific. And it must go for about 35 feet after you pass the intersection. You're going southbound. It must go about 25, 30 feet, and then it goes back to being the old reflective tape and the old markings that need to be updated. And then you get to where the new intersection is over by Carbolito Elementary, and then it's shiny and new again. It's just one of those things where you've got this. Why couldn't they have just taken the additional money and at least make the connection between 8, 10, and 16 and the new intersection at Kenyatta?
You must not have run into the weekend traffic, because we were headed up toward the Dededo area. Through the tri-intersection.
And you hit it?
Well, no, the traffic was backed up forever because they were letting, they narrowed it down to one lane, but still relied on the traffic light. So then you get like 4 cars that go through, and then it stops.
Yeah. They didn't have the traffic signal guys?
No,
oh, that's interesting. Because they did when I was there, and they were working on northbound traffic. I guess that's because that was the lane that they were on.
So they northbound traffic.
They get out of that and go through the village. 7:36 in the morning. They're going to probably continue to do that kind of work out there for at least a little bit longer until they get the T's crossed and the I's dotted through that particular intersection. And then there's other construction work that they've announced about some bridge reconstruction, etc. 7:36. I'll be right back.
Chili's 2 for $25 is back. Start with an appetizer to share. Then choose 2 entrees like our mouth-watering old-timer with cheeseburger or the Cajun chicken pasta, grilled chicken with penne and Alfredo sauce, and chili spices. Feeling extra? Upgrade to a personal fajita or our famous half-rack ribs. Bring a friend or a date to Chili's and get 2 entrees for $25. Located on the 2nd floor of Tumong Sands Plaza. Chili's. More life happens here.
Is there a way that we could do that so we could replicate a little bit more what was happening in Ismael's mind when he was watching the thing over at Skinner Plaza, the museum? So we've got this festive Christmas music, and then it transitions into the Damien Omen music. Is there? God, you're good. You are so good. It's like you read my mind. You knew where I was headed in this. That's beautiful. 7:37 in the morning. It is the Ray Gibson Show, and we were talking earlier, and I showed you a picture of the sunrise this morning behind Pam Duvall's place. And let me see if I can get that on the internet right now. I mean, not much to it in terms of what was happening out there in the sky at the time. There just wasn't a whole lot going on. Sun's not out, not a whole lot by way of clouds in the sky. And it occurred to me as I'm looking at this, what exactly am I looking at the bottom of the frame? And as it turns out, and she explains this now, she explains that it is a retaining wall. She's got a retaining wall out there in the back of the house. I had no idea. There is a housing development there above my lot. This wall is the reason we were able to because on something in there. 5 buyers turned it down because the spouses thought it was ugly. We see the beauty in it. We're going to paint a mural of a waterfall on the big retaining wall. And it's a huge retaining wall, and you can see where that might make some interesting features. But I think you're missing out on a great opportunity to increase the value of your house by not painting a mural with a waterfall. I mean, how easy is that? It's like 2 colors of paint, blue and white, right? And then you make your waterfall. I'm just thinking, put some imagination in it, and because I think now that we've got the Lou and Josh mural on the library, I think there needs to be more. I think we've got them on the video skinning wall.
I suggested just this morning a mural for our front building.
Well, yeah, with us in it. Yeah, with you. The problem is we do a picture of us, and call it a mural or call it whatever you want to on the building. People will think you and I are running for something. That's going to be the problem. 20 away from the top of the hour. 888-825-5888-TALK. There must be some kind of mistake, and I'm going to have people look into this right away. I was looking over at the legislative calendar for tomorrow, and James Moylan, Senator Jim Moylan, actually has a bill that is going into a public hearing tomorrow.
You don't say. You don't say.
What the heck is that? Somebody in rules made a mistake. They must have scheduled that when Regine was out of town, right?
That's totally possible, Ray. That's correct. And it's this bill. I believe we're talking about the emergency state of emergency and the funding available for that.
Yes,
So,
relative to the expenses that the governor of Guam is authorized to expend in the event of a declaration of emergency for civil defense, public safety, or healthcare. And the interesting thing is civil defense, public safety, or healthcare, we've got 2 out of 3 of those that I think are in a state of emergency here with the Department of Corrections and the disastrous state of Guam Memorial Hospital.
Exactly. And the current amount available for a state of emergency is $250,000. That was years and years back. And with the expansion and all our additional problems that we have with these departments, it's not going to go very far. Not that the governor must expend all that money, but it won't go that far.
Yeah.
So in preparations for disasters at either our hospital, the roof coming on down, or the school, the roof coming on down, or where we at currently with the police force, double that, make it $500,000. So maybe that's why my bill got heard. I'm authorizing additional money to be spent.
Yeah, it's a spend piece. Okay, we can move that one a little bit closer to the front burner. But still, I don't know what kind of support you're going to get from among your colleagues. Very interesting conversation. Maybe you can shed some light on this. I was reading up a story in the Daily Post from, I want to say yesterday, where Carlo Branch now is defending the holdback of the $22 million in surplus for the fiscal 2019 budget. You pointed out more than a couple of times there is a provision in the budget bill which authorizes monies to be sent over to Guam Memorial Hospital to solve some of the problems that they've got before the Army Corps of Engineers even makes a suggestion. And the governor's office is unrelenting. They said, no, that money has got to go to bring down the deficit.
Right, and there goes the debate with legislature versus the governor. Who's in charge with all this money, or is it who wants to get the credit for it? I'm not sure. Yeah, but yes, we need to take some action, and then going back to the BBT as well, the 5%, moving it back to the 4% too. There just seems to, I wish the governor the best. I'm sure she wants to do what's right for the community. But the legislature obviously is not so sure of that, and they're debating on over who has the authority to use this 20-some million, which the report is still forthcoming to actually know how much, other than the 10 that we already budgeted through Senator Therese Chalai for the hospital. But at the end,
it seems to me that if the legislature says that if there is a surplus, then it should go to GMH, and it was in the budget that was passed and signed off on into law, seems to me that we ought to follow through on that.
Right, and I believe that amount was $10 million, so there could be additional to that, and that's what they're fighting for.
I mean, they need it. Carlo Branch said, with regard to we weren't going to veto it because that provision in there, vetoing a budget because a well-intentioned provision may contain a flawed funding source. Jim, that's like sticking your head in an oven because you can't find a hat.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense to you at all?
No.
It
did not. Even if I mapped it out, drew it on the board, I couldn't figure that out.
Put your head in an oven because you can't find that. That's very Joe Biden of him, I'd say. And then he's got another one that says if a fund has a negative balance, a deficit, it stays that way until the deficit amount turns into a surplus through excess collections over a period of time. It is currently inconceivable that we can climb out of an 83-foot hole using a 23-foot ladder.
Okay, my only comment will be, let me see if I can get this right so Carla can understand. LOL.
LOL.
I don't know.
I'd have gone with the STFU, but that's just me. Because I'm like that. I'm irascible, I think, is the word that we're looking for. So I don't know where this is going to end up going. Has anybody called the Attorney General's office to get some kind of an opinion on what the capabilities are of the legislature? I mean, can the legislature just push through this and go, no, we're the legislature, we're the authorizing body. If there is a surplus of funds, if additional funds have come in over and above, if we want to pay down the deficit, then we will pay down the deficit and authorize the funds to go there. But we've got other priorities that we believe should take precedent in this community. Guam Memorial Hospital, Department of Corrections, GPD needs people. There's all kinds of stuff that needs to be done. So we ought to be able to appropriate these funds the way they see fit.
Right, and that's what the legislature is going to do. They're just going to move forward. Senator Joe San Augustine was clear clear on that, and so that's where we're proceeding, and we shall see at the end who has actual control over this money that we don't know the exact.
Well, I mean, the Adelup could just ignore you and say thank you very much for the approach and sign off on them. Yeah, okay, we send $10 million here and we'll send $5 million over there. No problem. As the funds may become available, and the Department of Administration just hold back the funds in a reserve as they've done for years.
That's true also. An AG's opinion would be helpful, and I'm waiting on a couple of AG opinions myself.
Yeah.
But that's will probably come after, hopefully it doesn't come after the hearing and after the decision is made. So we shall see.
Well, we'll watch how it plays. Listen, this town, and there's a great editorial by Lee Weber talking about we've got some serious problems in this town, and among them are crime, random assaults. You got people getting run over in the streets up north. And the investigation on that story. We don't know who was involved. That was a hit and run, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
well, no, I don't think it was a hit and run. There appeared to be a vehicle that was on the side of the road. It was a Jeep, but police haven't released
I'm fuzzy,
any.
I'm fuzzy on whether that was a suspect vehicle.
Yeah, but it didn't. I think they would have identified it as a hit and run had it been one.
Well, we'll see if we can get some clarity on that, because that was something that was nagging at me on Saturday night when I got the word. The other thing is just the video. It's a guy in a military uniform trying his best, and an actual hero. We need to find out who this guy is.
Well, you know how treacherous that stretch of road is, because we've run it so many times. And just the traffic is just moving so fast, and to avoid maybe some potholes here and there, people will veer off onto the side. And so if you're walking or running on that side of the road,
it looks like we're going to be having multiple town halls. You've started something over at the legislature. We got Jim Moylan, who's got a town hall that is going to take place up in Dedido. When?
That will be the 12th. I think that's Thursday. Thursday evening.
Where's it going to be at?
6:30 at Dedido, the senior center, and then the following week will be at Mamonto Tamaiti, 6:30 at the mayor's office.
Also on Thursday?
That would be Wednesday the 18th.
Okay, on the 18th. All right, at MTM also at 6:30. All right, so Jim's got a couple of those town halls going on. Telena Nelson has apparently got one scheduled out in Zonia.
Yes, I've heard, and interesting. I mean, it's good. And I've invited all the senators to come to my town halls as well. But, it's up to the community. And if that's their choice, that's good. As long as the senators come on out and listen to the community's concerns. And there's a recent report, I believe, also that GPD released, which is back in August, that kind of highlights what these town hall meetings I've been conducting are the concerns. And I think the top three.
Well, I'm just annoyed because they probably could have done that cheaper. I mean, you get all of that money together, and now we've got to fund some kind of a study to find out that the people are concerned about crime on Guam. Hello, I could have saved you. I could have saved you $56,000. I mean, we don't need to have a survey for that. Everybody knows that everybody is concerned about crime on Guam. We got random people just kind of walking around. We've got panhandlers illegally panhandling at the side of virtually every single one of Guam's roads, and we can't seem to do anything with them other than run them off and wait until they go to another intersection and do the panhandling there. We've got issues with drugs and alcohol abuse. We've got mental health issues around here. Yeah, people are concerned about crime. People are gunning up. They're buying security systems. I went by. There's a section over at Home Depot where they sell all of the what is it? The Next systems. And then that's one of the systems that the people can install over at their house. They also sell the Ring systems there, and a bunch of those items are sold out because people are I believe, in a position now where they've just got to. If something happens, it'd be nice to have some kind of a video record of it. So people are buying a whole lot of those surveillance systems. So you don't need to spend $100,000 on a study to say that we've got problems with crime. So we need solutions now.
Right, and in fact, on those sales for those cameras, it was on the neighborhood chat watches. They're posting it. I think I saw it on MTM's posting. Hey, go down and buy these things. And yes, and we do share those under the neighborhood watches as well. And that's another thing on our town hall meetings. People want to be more involved. People want to be empowered. These neighborhood watches want to be empowered, want to get the training. and to assist the police force as we rebuild our force, which is really short of manpower, and we need more police cars as well. So in the meantime, they want to help out and get the communication going, and there's a lot we can do. And we just got to move it forward and prioritize and make it quicker.
Well, we'll see what happens, and I would hope that that folks from the administration show up at all of the town halls that are coming up. As I said, we've got one in Zotnia on the 18th. Jimmy's got one in Dedido on the 12th at 6:30. Mongmototomaiti on the 18th at 6:30 as well. So make sure that you get in there and make it play. Make your thoughts known to the world. Make sure that we've got to find a way to get Guam back to the. We'll never be the place, Jimmy, where you and I grew up, where we could just leave the cars in the parking lot, leave it running. the wind is Guam is hot. Roll the windows down. You leave the keys in the car.
Yes, that way we can find it.
Yeah. It'll never go back to being that way again. Now, there is one last other thing I wanted to bring to you because I'm curious about this. Joe S. has got a measure here that would proposes the increase to run for governor.
Governor and also senator. Is that amount? Is it 5,000 for senators?
I think it was. I think it's 1,000 for senators and 5,000 for governor.
Yeah.
No, that should be free. Make that free.
Right. And the reasoning is, you can use campaign funds. Not. It shouldn't be for that purpose. The campaign funds are so you can get your message out, so you can advertise, so you can let people know who you are, not to pay the fee just to file to run. And there's, kind of Googled it and see other states. It's just a processing. It's $25 or $10 just to process. But they're looking, I guess, to make some money off this, and maybe my packet will be gold and framed. I'm not sure. Whether I win or lose, I got this great application form.
Get this calligraphy on it. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
What are they thinking? It makes it that much more difficult for people to want to run for office if they've got to face this $1,000 fee to do what? You're right. It's ministerial. It shouldn't be any more expensive than going in and getting a new driver's license.
Right.
In fact, it should be part of the process. You get a driver's license. They ask you, do you want to run for senator?
Yeah.
Right? We'll just put that in there as well. It's like, would you like to donate any body parts? Yes, okay. And yes, I'll run for senator. Just do all of that stuff. What a bunch of cockamamie.
Right.
All right. Well, listen, you got my dunder up here. That and the fact that I've lost a couple of football games that I want to spend some time talking about. So, listen, you have a great day. I'll see you at the procession.
I shall.
Yeah, I'll be in Carabao drinking beer.
Okay.
But I'll be watching out.
Stop after.
Actually, they're close today. So anyway, 7:52. I'll see you pretty soon. That's my buddy Senator Jim Moylan and one of the saner voices over at the 35th Guam Legislature, a non-daffy one, if you will. Somebody was asking me about senators over at the legislature, and I mentioned a couple of names, and I just I like that one, and anyone that I didn't like was just daffy. They're daffy. They just think of things that make absolutely no sense in my life or my lifetime. 7:53 in the morning. 888-255-888-TALK is the telephone number here on the radio station. Not a whole lot by way of movers and shakers and headline makers that are calling in this morning, and part of that has to do with all those guys. They partied out last night. They're just all either still drunk or hungover from all the partying that they did last night, and so they're probably not going to call in, which frees things up for you, by the way. Frees up a line for you. Whenever you hear me, hang up the phone on somebody, remember that frees up the line so that you can call in at 888-825-888-TALK and let me know what's going on in your mind, what's happening in your head, what your observations are, what your criticisms are of things that are happening in this community. What?
Just not criticisms of us.
Oh, no, you're welcome to criticize mine. Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that. Somebody sent me and I thought I wouldn't, speaking of criticism, somebody sent me a screen cap of some knucklehead. He was riffing on the Singapore Air Force coming to Guam, and that was good for about a paragraph, and then he went on to start ragging on me. And I'm like, what?
What?
What are you ragging on me about? He's got this radio station, KUSU, after he was fired from K57. No, I wasn't fired from there. I quit. But I quit that job, came over here, built up this radio station so that there was another
And you did a
venue.
fine job,
I
too,
did a wonderful
brother.
job. And so that there was another venue for talk. And he considers my version of talk nothing but hammering on Democrats.
Well, thank you for listening anyway.
And him in particular, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this guy's name on the radio. Frankly, I think he's a nut job. But
But he's
that's,
still listening.
That's good. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. No, and the more nut jobs that are out there, the better, because you
like
just
nut
make it that
jobs.
much
Just
more
listen.
fun. Make it that much more fun for me to engage. 7:55 in the morning. You've got the telephone number. I already gave that to you a couple of times. The other thing that you need to worry about, there are still people who are going to moan and groan over this, as opposed to getting over it. The President of the United States last week said, here's the deal. If you are between 18 and 49 and you're not disabled and nobody is, and you've got no dependents, you have to go to work.
That's why I'm here.
You got to get training or go to work. Otherwise, we're not giving you SNAP benefits anymore. This was never meant to be a lifestyle. This was never meant to be permanent. There's a bunch of people that have gotten dealt a lousy hand of cards. And for those people, there are systems that will prop them up in their times of need. But if you can work, is the theory, you should work. We talked about the dignity of work last week.
And that's why they call it supplemental
That's right.
nutrition program.
It's not
It's a
supposed
supplement.
to be.
It's not
And I'm not being judgy. I'm not being one of those guys. I'm just saying, if you can work, you should work. There are businesses here that need you. You take a look at, we are in the United States of America, theoretical zero unemployment. Everybody there's jobs for just about everybody out there in all kinds of fields and all kinds of lines. And all you need to do is look for them. I'm looking in the back page. Black construction. If you don't know anything, if you're just a guy and you've been on food stamps forever and you just have no idea how to get off, and now you're being forced off, you're going, well, I guess I better get a job. Go to work for Black Construction. This is a fine shop. I know people over at Black Construction. They're generations of families that fathers and sons that work over at Black Construction because it's such a great place to work. They're looking for laborers, carpenters, and iron workers. And you're going to go, well,
and they'll probably train you if you're not experienced working in that field.
But how long is it going to take for you to learn how to swing a hammer and drive a nail? I mean,
I don't know. For some people, it's
for
a challenge.
some people, here's another one. And nobody's going to get rich on these jobs at first. Experienced building and lawn maintenance worker. This is for somebody to go and do a job over at Phil's place, Casa de Flores Apartments in Agana Heights, Guam. And it's a day outside, and on hot days and on rainy days, the work still's got to get done. But if you've got basic knowledge of carpentry, painting, electrical, plumbing, and your own transportation, this is a great place to work. And trust, you want to work for Phil Flores. He's a nice guy. And he's another one of those places where you take a look at his business empire, and he's got generations of people who've been working for Phil and his grandfather going back to the 1960s.
So true.
So stop kicking yourself saying, well, nobody's going to hire me. Well, nobody's going to hire you if you don't go and apply for the job. And now there is reasonable stories to tell you that they're going to be out there because the president's going to take away your SNAP, dude. I hate that orange hair guy because he makes my SNAP go away. 7:58 and change. And then there's this story. We brought it to you on Friday, and this had everybody very frowny face. On Friday, the Hawaiian delegation complaining about $17 million worth of a COFA funding error. Apparently, there was an issue with the count. I'm trying to figure out. They're going to have some kind of investigation, a little bit more conversation on this. Yeah, on the census, the number of COFA migrants that live in Hawaii, and I don't know whether they did it wrong, overcounted, undercounted, but these guys weren't given all of the money they thought they have coming to them. And so we've got between the census and the Department of Interior, they said, don't worry, we'll fix it, Hawaii. We'll fix it. What we'll do is we'll take $12 million away from Guam over the next 3 years. And the people over at the governor's office said, what? Well, here's the thing: is they said what some time ago. I mean, this is not a new story. It was new to us on Friday, but the players in Hawaii, including Kalili and Mike Sinicolas, and people over at the governor's office, had information on this prior to the news story that we read. And so, why did they keep it secret? Why didn't they tell anybody what was going on? What was the tactical thinking behind not saying anything about it until Ray Gibson reported it on Friday?
They were looking for their hat, but instead put their head in the oven.
They stuck their head in the oven because they couldn't find a hat. Carlo helped them out. The radio station is KUSG. It got you 93.3. This is The Point.
The FBI following up leads. I'm Jane Metzler, Fox News. Those leads in the U.S. and overseas after Friday morning's deadly mass shooting at the Naval Air Station in Pensacola, Florida.
We do, in most active shooter investigations, work with the presumption that this was an act of terrorism.
FBI Special Agent in Charge Rachel Rojas, Ahmed Mohammed al-Shamrani, a Saudi Air Force second lieutenant who was training at the base, killed 3 U.S. sailors, wounding 8 other people before he was fatally shot by a sheriff's deputy. Rojas says the Glock handgun he used was purchased legally in Florida.
While there are many reports circulating regarding the shooter's motivation and his alleged activities leading to his attack, I can tell you that we are looking very hard at uncovering his motive, and I would ask for patience so we can get this right.
A U.S. official confirming al-Shamrani went on Twitter shortly before the deadly rampage, calling the U.S. anti-Muslim, criticizing U.S. support for Israel. He and 3 other Saudis reportedly visited Rockefeller Center and several Manhattan museums Thanksgiving week. The purpose of that trip being investigated. Saudi military trainees said to be cooperating with the FBI investigation, and they're being confined now to one area on the Pensacola base by their Saudi commander. Senator Lindsey Graham, who served in the Air Force for 33 years, says maybe those trainees should not be here at all.
We need to suspend the Saudi program until we find out what happened here. I like the idea of training foreign pilots, understanding how the American system works.
That's Graham on Sunday Morning Futures. America's listening to Fox News.
If you've ever struggled for breath, you know what a scary experience it is. Whether you have asthma, emphysema, COPD, lung cancer, or another respiratory illness, the right medical treatment makes all the difference. GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic has the latest technology and respiratory equipment, staffed by world-class pulmonologists. Make an appointment today with GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic and start breathing easier. GRMC, where patients are partners.
This Christmas, GTA announces the magic of giving. We've custom designed a line of 9 pop socket accessories that honor 3 organizations whose main goal is to help children. They are the Harvest House, Regalu Foundation, and Sanctuary Incorporated. For every customized pop socket sold in our stores, all of the proceeds will be donated to these great charities. This Christmas, come into GTA and be a part of the magic of giving. GTA, we start with you.
The House Judiciary Committee holding another impeachment hearing tomorrow. President Trump opting not to participate, calling the process unfair. Did the Boston Marathon bomber receive a fair trial? A federal appeals court in Boston is looking into that. Attorneys for Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, who was sentenced to death for the 2013 attack that killed 3, wounding more than 260 other people, argued it was impossible to find an impartial jury in Boston. North Korea's at it again.
North Korea says it has carried out a, quote, very important test at its long-range rocket launch site. A senior U.S. defense official tells Fox News it was a rocket engine test. This comes as the North has expressed frustration with the pace of nuclear negotiations. Earlier this week, a North Korean official threatened the U.S. with an unwanted Christmas gift.
Fox's Aisha Hasni. On Twitter, President Trump today said North Korean leader Kim Jong-un risks losing everything insisting he's too smart and has too much to lose if he acts in a hostile way, adding he does not want Kim to void his special relationship with the President of the United States. Prices slightly lower at the pump.
The average price of regular grade at the retail pump is $2.65. It's down 1 penny from 2 weeks ago and down about 4 cents during the past month.
Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg, colleagues called him a kind and loving creative genius. We called him Big Bird.
Surprise!
And Oscar the Grouch.
I love trash.
Legendary puppeteer Carol Spinney played both characters for nearly 50 years, helping put Sesame Street on the map. He died today at 85. I'm Jay Metzler. This is Fox News.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
In life, we all have the ability to make a difference, to make an impact on someone's life. As we look around us, time never stops, but we are filled with endless moments of gratitude. The art of giving is incorporated in so many different ways. At Guam Gift Baskets, we want to be able to express your gratitude and love to those who you care about. Show your appreciation with a gift made with love this holiday season. Visit our website at guamgiftbaskets.com. See the smiles, touch their hearts, feel the experience.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
And good morning. It's 8:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyron, and here are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. A man is dead and another injured following a late-night auto pedestrian accident in Jigo on Saturday night. Police closed off many of the lanes in front of the Manhita laundromat when they conducted their investigation. The identities of the men still haven't been released, but fire officials at the night of the accident estimated they were in their mid to late 20s. The man who died is the 17th person to die this year from a traffic-related accident. Indicted Jotnya Mayor Jesse Blas wants certain testimony and evidence in his federal case excluded from being used in his trial. Blas stands accused of receiving bribes in exchange for providing an alleged drug-dealing operation access to cluster boxes under the mayor's office's control. Defense attorney Joe Rosano last Friday filed a motion in the district court to exclude testimony that the FBI provided, which accused Blas of abusing his ex-girlfriend. He also wants FBI testimony kept out alleging tampering with Superior Court of Guam's probation system, as well as testimony involving the former deputy director at the Department of Corrections, Joey Terlahi, and other Superior Court marshals and probation officers. The defense argues that the testimony is irrelevant to the charges in the indictment. Court documents also state a jury could convict Blas based on allegations surrounding Terlahi and negative public sentiment toward the Guam Department of Corrections. Blas remains in jail while he awaits his trial. Meanwhile, Vice Speaker Telena Nelson, in coordination with the Jotnya Mayor's Office, will host a town hall meeting to hear the concerns of the Jotnya residents on their public safety and community welfare concerns. The town hall meeting will be on December 18th at the Jotnya Community Center. Nelson says residents have been urging island leaders to hear their concerns about public safety and community welfare. The village doesn't have a working mayor since Mayor Blas remains in jail since September. Two other town hall meetings are being held in Dededo and MTM. Meanwhile, those meetings held by Senator Jim Moylan. The first one will be on Thursday, this Thursday, the 12th, in Dededo. That meeting in Mongmong will be held next week, Thursday. Senator Moylan has held several public safety town hall meetings already. He plans on going to each of the villages. We'll have more news after this.
Make wish lists come true this holiday season with Coast 360.
For a limited time, get 1% off your personal loan rate when you apply by December 31st, 2019. Loans up to $50,000 with flexible terms and no application fees. Apply online or at any member center. Terms and conditions apply. See print ad or Coast360FCU.com for details. May your holidays be merry and bright with Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
The holiday season is here, and it gives us pause to reflect on the abundance of 2019 and to express our gratitude for Guam, the island we call home, and to all Guamanians. Our team here at Security Title is proud of the work we do to support ourselves and our families, to serve and care for our customers, and to give back to our community. May this season of joy and the new year bring happiness, good health, and prosperity to you and yours. Merry Christmas from all of us at Security Title.
A couple of public hearings are scheduled for tomorrow at the legislature. The first one starts at 9 o'clock in the morning on 3 bills. One of those bills establishes a stipend for participants in the Police Reserve Civilian Volunteer Program. And then a bill by Senator Jim Moylan that deals with the expenses that the governor of Guam is authorized to expend in the event or declaration of an emergency for civil defense, public safety, or health. Senator Jim Moylan says, currently, there is $250,000 that's authorized for emergencies, but his bill will seek to increase that amount to $500,000 to better meet the needs in emergency calls. Another bill up for hearing is one by Senator Pito Talahi that would appropriate an additional $500,000 to recruit more corrections officers. That hearing will be at 9 o'clock. And then at 5 in the afternoon, the legislature will call for an oversight hearing. Members of the Guam State Historic Preservation Office. Singapore's media is reporting the Republic of Singapore Air Force will set up a fighter training detachment at Andersen Air Force Base under an agreement that was signed last week with the United States. The permanent fighter training presence at Andersen will be Singapore's 6th long-term unit overseas and closest geographically to Singapore. 2 Singapore Air Force detachments are based in Arizona, and Singapore also has a training detachment in Idaho, in Australia, and in France. They say that Singapore's tight airspace leaves them little room to train its fighter pilots. And the first 2 anonymous letters detailed a hostile work environment and alleged poor leadership. But now another anonymous letter has been sent defending the leadership of the Guam National Guard. The letter written to dispute the previous letters, which were, quote, written to obviously discredit and embarrass the organization. These letters, they say, are grossly inaccurate and exaggerated. The letter states, most Guard members are happy with the leadership and the positive changes, and while they too don't agree with all of the changes, they remain confident in Major General Esther Agigi. The previous letters asked Governor Lulian Guerrero to meet with the soldiers similar to the meetings that she held with corrections officers. However, the governor's office says she does not intend to have such a meeting. Governor's spokesman, Janela Carrera, says that unlike DOC, the National Guard and its soldiers are governed by the policies of the armed forces and the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and she expects these issues will be addressed in line with those processes. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
Well, it'd be Ray with weather in a second, but there's I wanted to check the weather forecast to make sure that this flight gets off on time. 9:30 this morning, according to sources that I've got inside the United Airlines, they're going to be making a special flight to the North Pole at 9:30 this morning.
Okay, bring all the letters.
Yeah, the letters. Kids get to meet Santa Claus. I think this is something along the same lines as something I attended a few years ago, where we got a whole bunch of kids on board an airplane, and it took off. I mean, the plane actually took off and drove around Guam for a little bit, and we had a great time. And I got to get up on the PA system and give onboard announcements and stuff like that. So I think they're doing another one along the same lines, and that's why I've got this image up online on the Facebook Live so that everybody can see that there is gate number 17 waiting on a flight to the North Pole aboard United.
Wow.
The Santa Claus flight. How about that? So as far as the weather is concerned, I had no point in refreshing this image here because it ain't going to change. Partly cloudy skies, isolated showers. We got light and variable winds today. Daytime highs 88 degrees and overnight lows about 77 degrees. Sunset tonight at 5:53. Tell the others you know where you need to be after the procession. And so after that, go and find someplace nice to go and enjoy the sunset at 5:53 or so. 8:13 and the other voice there is Duke Sky Talk. Talker. He'll let you know what that nothing is on the radar.
Yeah, picture-perfect conditions for a Santa flight this morning, so that should be pretty enjoyable and very well bump-free. I think we got pretty stable conditions out there in the sky. I got some showers out there, and it looks like some to the southeast, kind of starting to roll slowly this way. Again, this is just the typical thing. You get these trade wind disturbances that'll come on through. If any showers do pop up later on, they will be few, far between, and very brief. Probably not expecting to see too much. You will notice the main thing today, I think you'll notice, is that it's going to feel a little bit warmer because the wind is going to back off quite a bit. We're not going to see quite the same kind of wind speeds that we've seen over the past few days. Hopefully that wind will come back in a couple of days, kind of in a transitional phase now, but once this one front clears out and new high pressure builds in, then we'll get a re-up of our trade winds. The swirl you see in the sky up to the north, that's actually an upper level low pressure area. Will not affect our weather at all. So just enjoy the day. It's going to be nice.
The grill marks, if you've got the day off, I'm sure, 8:14 in the morning. It was 2 solid days of grill marks and 2 separate beaches to enjoy it at. More on that a little bit later on. In the meantime, 8:15, and this is The Point.
Half a day. This is Melanie Mendiola.
And this is Ricky Hernandez. We're with the Guam Economic Development Authority.
And we're both alumni of the University of Guam. We're calling on our fellow alumni to make an investment in Guam's future by contributing to the G is for Giving campaign. With your donation, you are giving more students the opportunity to graduate, making Guam a better place.
To make a tax-deductible donation, log on to give.uog.edu before December 31st or call 735-2957 for more information.
Viva UOG!
Ray Gibson Show being brought to you by the guys over at Wendy's. They've got breakfast there, eggs and rice and some kind of a breakfast meat. That platter is only $4, and there's a bunch of them. Applewood smoked bacon, Portuguese sausage, country fried chicken and gravy, and so much more. Wendy's breakfast platter, again, only $4. Now, that's better. It's a Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by Take Care, offering proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage you and your family to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle. Preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing, and unwinding. I invented the concept of unwinding. I'm level 10 master at unwinding and being socially connected. There's some of that as well. And American President Lines, global presence in a local home, and American Medical Center, accepting most insurance, including the new Aetna and Medicare. If you'd like to become one of their new patients, call them at 647-8262. Again, that's 647-8262, and get more information.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Jennifer Rodriguez online. Hey, Jen, how you doing? You getting? We follow you on Facebook, and it's one of my favorite promo stuff, ladies out there. And they're getting rid of some old stuff and they're bringing in all kinds of new stuff. So if you've got some swag that you need to get for the holidays or into the new year, definitely check her local promos and see what they've got. Scott Nelson's online. Jess Limtialco out there. Imagine criticizing GovGuam spending for a living, but loving a president that goes to his own private resort on the government's dime. Oh, yeah, and golfing when you have $1 trillion deficit on the governor's dime as well. Jess Limtialco giving me a hard time about comments that we're making about people that can work, should work, and get off the SNAP program. And the way he sees it, it's one of those things. We wouldn't expect the same thing for corporate welfare. We'll go over that and more a little bit later on. Rice and Nicholas, you back in town yet? Are you still traveling in the frozen United States of America? Generally, where you have been, there has been some kind of cold outrage. I was talking to somebody on the Facebooks yesterday, and she knew that I was out, getting grill marks, and she's like, "Can you send some pictures?" And so, sure enough, sent some pictures, Gun Beach, and sent some pictures of Tumon and beautiful blue ocean that we've got out there. And she's like, "Oh my God, it's 38 degrees here. I can almost feel the heat from the pictures." That's nice. That's nice when you can share that kind of thing. 888-8255. I see Carlos Moreto is online. There's Dave Torrey, and Dave wants to know because Shelley always gives him a hard time about gloating whenever the San Francisco 49ers win. And today the San Francisco 49ers got into an absolute slug fest. We're not talking about it right now. We'll get them into the sports, but it's just an absolute slug fest with the Who Dat Nation. And so he's got this up online, and he wants to know, is this gloating? It's the Who Dat, and then you got the New Orleans Saints logo. You get their little banner, Who Dat, and then you get the San Francisco. It says We Dat. That's what's going on. Who Dat? We Dat. There you go. 8:19 in the morning, and I'm glad to hear that they finally won that. It is about time for us to pretend to talk about sports. Michael Knight scared up a local sports story. Go for it, bro.
I will do that. Hang on a second.
You sound like me going for the traffic gizmo.
Yeah,
it's in there somewhere.
So we out of GSPN, the Okido Bulldogs picked up a quarterfinal victory on Saturday night. This is girls basketball after defeating the Indy Royals 51-34 on their home floor. Strong play by center Angeli Dakanai spurred the Okido victory as she finished with a double-double. That's 16 points and 12 rebounds. Her efforts helped secure her team a spot in the semifinal game to be played against the Academy Cougars next week. And in the other semifinal game, it will be St. Paul versus St. John's, and we'll give you those game scores and updates when those games get completed later on this week.
Gotcha. A couple of things that you need to know about 5Ks and longer. There is the Rock and Run for Our Heroes. It's going to be taking place at where's this? Skinner Plaza. We're going to start and end their showtime at 5 go time at 6. Fast Runners will be back there in about 20 minutes or so. Ryan Matienzo or Derek Mendel in about 17 minutes. You'll be back there. First 1,000 registrants get a dry fit T-shirt. Top 3 finishers will get some kind of award in each division, as well as fastest male and female. It's the Rock and Run, which means that there will be music at the main stage and along the course, and there's live music at the at Matson, where the turnaround point is going to be. So you'll get to hear all of that. Frankly, it gets to be in these 5K. I don't even hear the music. I don't even hear the music. I'm going, just listening to the sound of my breathing and my feet falling. Oh, there's a band there? Great, wonderful. I hope they're going to have a good time. I'm probably going to be running in this one because I don't know if I want to run the alley-oop. That's the other race that's going to be taking place on Saturday. The alley-oop, one of the last, in fact, I believe it is the last races, the last events on the Guam Running Club's calendar for the year.
But you could also walk the alley-oop.
I end up for a significant time walking the alley-oop because there's after the first or second hill, that's what I'm left with. I can't run it up the hill anymore.
I remember seeing Ron McNinch carrying his little tote bag.
Ron always had a little bag. He'd carry a little bag with him, and we always were wondering what was in it. Is it like toilet paper or like a human head or something? There's something not quite sure. Nobody really wanted to ask him.
I never saw him open it.
Yeah,
he's got a defibrillator in there.
could be anyway. So we got those different events that are coming up. I'll get you more information, or just go to Facebook, the Guam Running Club's page on Facebook, and see what they've got to say about what time showtime is. Generally, we park in Agate, and then we get shuttled down to Umatic, and then basically you're running back to your car is what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's not a 5K.
It's not a 5K.
So if you're running it for the first time like I did,
there's some distance.
Don't let anyone trick you into thinking it's just a 5K, because it's a little longer than that.
And hills. But the last part of it is beautiful. Like I said, you crest over at Seti Bay, the lookout there, and then you just kind of open your stride, and before you know it, you're back in Agate, and there's oranges and soda pop and things like that. So that's those items on the running calendar. I was going to say, I wonder if there's the other big story that is out there in the world of sports, and this one is almost as divisive in this community as the last election was. GDOE is moving forward with their plans to operate the interscholastic sports. Sabrina Salas Matanani from the KUAM wrote this story following public participation over the debate surrounding high school interscholastic sports. The Guam Ed Board entertained a motion from member John Birch to extend GDOE's participation in the IIAAG for the rest of the school year and to schedule work sessions to address the Guam Department of Education's interscholastic sports issue. Seconded by Dr. Ron McNinch, and I believe that they took it up for a vote, and they said, no, we're just going to stick with the plans that we have here and go ahead and bifurcate the different leagues. There will be a GDOE athletic season, and the private schools can have their own, and if we all want to get back together, then we're going to get back together. But as far as they're concerned, they're no longer going to be working with the IIAAG, though there is conversation in this story. A little fuzzy in my head how it's going to work out. There's a potential for GNOC, the Olympic Committee, to put in a bid to manage GDOE sports. What?
All this bifurcating just seems sinful.
There's 165,000 people that live here. We don't need to have multiple different sports leagues and sports systems.
No,
It's
not
just-
with this. Not with
just
the
dumb.
limited number of teams and available. It just makes no sense.
Yeah. Member McNinch said he wanted to make sure it's absolutely clear that private schools are welcome within this particular system, and there's no door shut from them participating.
Yeah, the big thing that I'm starting to understand is the main issue was that many people felt like that the private schools were actually getting favoritism in terms of scheduling and venues and other things over the public schools in some of these contests, and especially when it came down to maybe do a schedule change or a venue change. And it seemed like it was always,
in favor
leaning
of
towards the private schools. And
never
so that's
seen their
why-
daughter play volleyball at George Washington High School, even though there's far better facilities that they could have played at on Guam and just extended the time that they were doing it. But my daughter played volleyball at GW with the short ceiling that they've got, and there's and you have to learn to play within that system. So scheduling a team to play over there that didn't seem to favor the academy team.
Yeah,
It certainly favored the GW team that was playing there all the time. So I don't know. I don't know about things like that. You know what I know is that this week I'm doing far better in the football pick'ems.
Well, that makes one of us.
That's all that counts with me. I think we were both disappointed with the Dallas not beating Chicago.
Yeah, that showed me a lot about Dallas. And here's the funny thing about this now. Dallas leads the division of the NFC East with a 6-7 record. They are in first place with a losing record.
Uh-huh.
It is quite possibly the worst division in football, although the AFC South, where my Texans reign, could be a close second runner-up. But, the Cowboys just completely laid an egg against Chicago on Friday. They did try to come back a little bit, but it was way too late.
Yeah,
So,
It was it was the start of the disappointment, but this morning's games are favoring me big time. Atlanta did beat Carolina 40-20.
Yeah, Carolina did a head coaching change. I just knew that wasn't going to work out well for them the first game.
Yeah, Baltimore over Buffalo here, and I hated going against Buffalo because Renee, but it just looked like it was going to be a runaway for Baltimore.
I
and
got
it
to
was.
tell you right now, man, 24-17, that is a moral victory for Buffalo. Baltimore, arguably the best team in football right now this year, and for the Buffalo to only lose by a touchdown at home against a really
stellar team,
high-octane team. I mean, to me, that is a moral victory, and Buffalo can really hang their hats on
I
that.
was surprised that Cincinnati was able to get almost 20 points on the board. They
That's
lost
right.
to Cleveland here 27-19, but good on you, Cincinnati, for giving it a real shot here. Green Bay over Washington. It was Green Bay with 20, Washington 15. Minnesota beat Detroit 20-7. That was a no-brainer. This one here was the shootout. Now, Dave Torrey had predicted that this game was going to be 80-plus points. It was 90-plus points, 48-46.
Crazy, just crazy. I would have loved to have been at that game. I mean, this is the kind of game you want to be at. Either this, where they're just shooting it out, or you want to be at one of those games where there's a lot of defense, and I mean, like a lot of fumbles, a lot of interceptions and things. But this was
It looks like every time
classic
somebody got their
shootout.
hands on a ball, they made a touchdown.
Which is odd because San Francisco actually has a good defense this year. So I think a lot of people are going to be looking at the film and wondering, what did Drew Brees in New Orleans see that allowed them to score 46 points on San Francisco?
2-point difference. 2-point difference. And if it was one of those games, I'll bet you if they added another couple of minutes to the game, it probably could have gone back and forth a couple more times. Absolutely stunning. It was the Jets over Miami today. That was a squeaker.
That was 22-21 the final there, and of course the Jets just pulling that out, but Miami did well to hold on in that one as well as they did.
I did not call this one right. Tampa Bay ended up beating Indianapolis 38-35.
I just don't know what to think about the Colts. Again, it's one of those AFC South teams. They're just all so terribly inconsistent, and this is just one of those cases. The Colts clearly outclassed Tampa Bay in terms of paper, but on the field, they just could not get it done. A 3-point game.
I'm wondering if you're going to burn your jersey after today. The Houston losing spectacularly to Denver.
Yeah, they tried to make the comeback. It's like, I guess for 3 quarters, they just decided they didn't want to play or spot them 38 to make it fair or something. What generally happens, of course, now, like I say, I'm going to wear egg on my face because I kind of ignored a couple of things that are actual trends. One, the pattern that I was talking to you about. It was loss, win, win, loss, win, win. So they finished that pattern last week, so the pattern was supposed to be loss this week, but
And
I ignored that. And on top of that, generally speaking, in team sports, and especially in football, you will have a letdown game after you have beaten a team of significant fortitude the week before. And so Texans got that New England Patriots monkey off their back last week, and it kind of left them emotionally wanting this week. And so the guys,
wanting.
yeah, they just did not have the fire in their bellies to go out there and play Denver today.
Who hurt you? Who broke you? And the answer is my own expectations. 8:29 in the morning. So we got the games that are coming up at Houston and Denver, and we'll just put that behind us and move forward here. I'm hoping that it's going to be the Chargers over Jacksonville, and so far it is. And hoping it's going to be Tennessee over Oakland, and so far it is. And then I got New England and Kansas City. Kansas City is actually ahead of New England right now.
Yeah, so I think New England having some issues right now. It's kind of like a midseason slump they're going through.
Week,
yeah, and they seem to be having some issues, and the team will do that. They'll start off hot. And San Francisco also has kind of hit a little bit of a midseason slump after just kind of cruising through the first 8 weeks or so. Patriots, they'll make a game out of it, and it's still close at only 16-7. But Kansas City, they're here to play. They're trying to make up some ground that they lost because they missed Mahomes for 3 weeks, and I want to say they lost two of the games that he was out, so they really need to make the ground.
I got Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, what have I got? Pittsburgh and Arizona, and so far Pittsburgh is ahead in that one. So I think this is going to end up being a good week for me.
I got a friend at that game right now.
Seattle and Los Angeles. That's the next game. That's the late game that's coming up.
Yep, that's it.
And then tomorrow Philly and New York. I got Seattle against the Rams, and I'm picking Philadelphia over New York.
I would do Philly definitely over New York.
And that's the way the pick'ems are all going to end up for today. Great prizes for the weekly winners, and then the end of all of this, we'll find out who has got the most points and award them a fantastic prize. Now, I might still be number one. I might still be tied number one in this, but I don't get the free prize from the guys over at GTA. It's your choice, either latest and greatest iPhone, or latest and greatest Samsung, or latest and greatest Google Pixel. That's what's up for grabs. It's a pick 'em contest, so you'll be able to pick which phone it is that you want from the guys over at GTA. You want more details? Well, actually, there are no more details. You just play and win the Pick'ems contest, and that's all there is to it. It's 8:31, and that's all the time that we've got to pretend to talk about sports today. Montecillo Tyron's got news coming up next.
Here are a few details.
Are you ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your fix every day with the Points NFL Pick'em contest. Get the latest updates as we check out the past week's performance and break down the upcoming action. Get your game on by calling the hotline at 888-TALK or sound off on Facebook Live at thepoint.gu. League members get a chance to win some awesome weekly prizes with a shot for your choice of a new GTA phone. The NFL Pick'em contest is brought to you by Current Guam with special thanks to GTA.
I'm in second place here. Downset What is in first place with 127 points. And if you take me out of the equation, then the next big player is Ming the Merciless with 125. So there's your first and second place of the people that are capable of winning the big prize at the end of this. We are at week number 14 here? Is that where we're at? And just another couple more until 17 weeks.
Yeah,
worth
only
of
3
football.
weeks left after this one. So it's getting close. And again, Mingo, he was leading strong going through about 7 weeks into the season in Pick'ems, and then I don't know what happened to him. I think he just kind of backed off to give us all a chance because he was tearing it up.
Could have, but it looks like he's back and with just within shooting range of number one again. It's 8:32 in the morning, and a run and gun. We've got Jess Limtialco versus Nick Perlowski and Chris Chip. So if you want to get in on what looks like a very, very interesting debate about welfare, corporate welfare, and Trump hating, take a look at what's happening on Facebook Live right about now. It's 8:33 in the morning. You can read and listen to the news at the same time. Montecillo Tyron with news now from the Guam Daily Post.
The senators are taking to the villages, holding town hall meetings on public safety. Jim Moylan was first to start the forums and will hold his next one this Thursday in Dededo and another one next week in Mongmong Totomaiti. But also this coming week, Senator Tillerson Nelson will hit Jotnya to get some input on concerns on public safety and community welfare. That meeting will be on the 18th. The Attorney General's office confirms they're looking into allegations against government officials, but they're not specifying the nature of the allegations or how many or who are the government officials. The AG's office says they'll work with GPD to ensure they receive all the reports and evidence. The AG's office not confirming as well if it's related to the recent alleged assault by a police officer. More buses for public transit users. GRTA discovered $400,000 in the coffers that haven't been spent. The Department of Transportation notified Guam officials of the money. Executive Manager Celestine Babauta says the money was given back in 2005. No one knew about it. He plans to buy more buses now that he's found it. And Guam EPA has listed 8 beaches as being polluted. So if you plan on going to the beach this holiday, make sure that you read the post to see the list of beaches that are polluted. The EPA took samples of each of the beaches, and they say that people should stay clear of these polluted areas because it could make you sick. And those are some of your top stories. For more on these stories, and pick up a copy of the Daily Post or log on to their website at postguam.com.
In addition to the Singapore Air Force that's going to be coming to Guam in 2029, and it's a long way off. Nobody get excited about it just yet. Just wait until you see the whites of their eyes,
The
guys.
10 years goes really fast.
The Royal New Zealand Air Force is in town.
Wow.
Oi, oi, oi. Is that the noise that New Zealanders make? They got the All Blacks, right? So we've got the Royal New Zealand Air Force. Right.
Please, please. Oh, no, not you.
No, I don't want to do the haka.
I
and
don't
I
want to
don't
see
want
you do
anybody
the haka either.
seen people do their rip-offs of the haka, and it makes me annoyed. Anyway.
Have you seen the Hakarena?
The what? The what?
The Hakarena.
Explain yourself, sister.
It's, the Macarena?
Yeah.
It's the Hakarena. You have to look it up on YouTube.
It's an actual thing.
It's an actual thing.
The Royal New Zealand Air Force and their Hakarena is here participating for the first time in Operation Christmas Drop in Guam, packaging and delivering supplies to the islands of the Western Pacific. It originally started back in 1952, and the only reason why I'm going to read this paragraph is because it allows me to say the name of a particular island in the FSM. The Operation Christmas Drop is an annual United States Air Force tradition that dates back to 1952. It started when locals on the island of Kapingamarangi in Federated States of Micronesia waved at the air crew of a passing WB-50 Super Fortress, prompting the crew to grab their supplies and whatever they had on the airplane and drop it by parachute to the people of the islands. And like any good thing, it turned into a habit, and we've been doing it now for 68 years in more places than just the Kapingamarangi. You know what they call people that live in Kapingamarangi?
Kapingamarangis?
Kapingamarangianese. You know what they call people that study them? Kapingamarangianologists. It's true.
How long have you been drumming that up in your head?
No, that bit actually.
Is it a real thing?
I wish it was. My buddy Macho Limtiaco and I made that joke up in 1975, and I've used it every single year ever since. Food, tools, clothing, plus other goods donated by private donors, charitable organizations, and the University of Guam on their way for this week-long pitch, and they're going to be taking out maybe a couple of different, I don't want to say different airplanes, but look for different logos on the back of the airplane. It's C-130 airplanes that they're using, just like we're using out here, but they're different in the propellers are on the other side of the wings. No, I'm just kidding.
And it flies backwards?
I think I saw these guys landing yesterday when I was at Gun Beach, because if you're at Gun Beach or the beach bar long enough, you get used to seeing military flights that pass the area because it's in line with number 6. It's in line with their runway. And so I saw a ship going in the wrong direction. It was going in the opposite way. So I thought maybe this is one of the new guys that don't know what Guam looks like from the sky just yet. And which one of the two? There's 2 airports. I see 2 airports. Which ones are we supposed to land in? Oi, oi, oi. So that might have been what you saw yesterday as these guys were making their way in to participate in Christmas drops.
Half a day and welcome to Guam, if you're listening.
In a unique kind of Christmas drop now with the news that the Department of Interior and the Census want to hold back $12 million to make good for the mistake they made for Hawaii. This year's Christmas drop is going to feature Lulian Guerrero dropping Doug Domenech out the back end of an airplane. Hey, you want to do what? I'm sorry. Did I hear that right? Yeah, that's an interesting story. We might riff on that a couple more times before we're done for the day. It's 8:38 in the morning. That's Montesilva with the news. iConnect time. Like I said, 8:38. Go to iConnect and ask them about saving you some dough. They got ways to save it on mobile, internet, even the push-to-talk plans at iConnect.
Attention federal employees and annuitants. Enjoy free health screenings and learn more about Take Care's 2020 health plan offerings during open season at the Micronesia Mall every Saturday through December 9th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Join us for raffle prizes and a variety of health fair activities, including massage demos, health screenings, on-site gym partners, Medicare info, health risk assessments, and much, much more. We hope to see you there. To learn more, visit TakeCareAsia.com. Take Care, the first re-accredited health plan in the region.
It's a matter of time here. I'm watching the back and forth between the Chris and Nick and Jesse here this morning. I'm waiting for somebody to invoke Nazi Germany. I forget what it's called, but there is a thing, and over a certain amount of time for a debate to rage anywhere, any kind of flame war on the internet. At some point, it reaches that level where somebody starts saying, brings out the night of the long knives or brown shirts or Nazi Germany. Just a matter of time here, and we'll see how that plays on Facebook Live. 20 away from the top of the hour. Go eat at Mescla, because they've got some great packages. They've got different specials every month, and the new specials, I'm just in love with this. Kahlua pork and cabbage. That's all you need to say, really, right? Just got Mescla, Kahlua pork, and cabbage, and there's 2 Mesclas, one in Agutnia and one in Tamuning. Do I need to tell you what goes in it? I will. It'll be tough, though, because it's one of my favorite things. Slow-roasted, smoke-laced pork. They got that thing fork tender, and it shreds like you wouldn't believe. They saute all that shred with onions and cabbage, and they serve that over steamed rice and lomi salmon. Try it today, again in Agutnia and Tamuning at the Grand Plaza. For reservations, I suggest them, because I made your mouth water, 969-2652.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at GuamTraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
Traffic gizmo time. Is there any traffic here? There's not going to be any traffic. Biggest traffic is going to be later on this afternoon when it gets to be time to go to Agutnia for the procession, because everybody's going to be there. People that should be working in the government of Guam today that have taken the morning off are everybody's going into Agutnia for the procession. I'll see if I can scare up those times for you, but let me just take a quick look at the map and make sure I'm not saying that there's no traffic when there is traffic, Raymond. If you're trying to get out of Tumon, up JFK Hill, might see a little bit of traffic. Might see some traffic up route Santos Hill, down at the end over by the Weston. That's the name of that particular drive. And generally a little bit busy, but today busy going down the hill because of the construction on the right-hand side over at the swimming hole. You might see some traffic headed northbound, getting into Dededo, just past the football field. Sorry, it's soccer field that they've got out there. And moving in the opposite direction from Route 3 onto Marine Corps Drive, a little bit busy through there. But otherwise, it looks like it's just, like I said, intersection traffic everywhere, including on the way into Big Navy in Sumai. 19 to the top of the hour. Be right back.
Ever notice how that one perfect holiday gift is just out of reach? Or how sales on the stuff you want all come at the same time? This season, plan ahead with a holiday loan from First Hawaiian Bank. Now you can afford to be nice without being naughty. For more details, visit FHB.com or any branch to apply. Additional restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Love our men and women in blue. Guys are out there doing their best to try to curb crime here on Guam. It's not much to be done about that. I wish we had more guys, because it seems to me that every time somebody gets pulled over, the cops have got to take somebody into custody, or they find some kind of drugs inside. Story here about what is this? A guy, Michael Manley, observed his Suzuki Storm parked outside of his residence, and then at 3 o'clock in the morning, the victim's neighbor observed a short, heavy-set, unknown male individual pushing the above motorcycle away from the victim's residence. At about 12:30 the next day, victim observed that said motorcycle was missing. He was still in possession of all the keys, and so decided to call the police. Is that somebody stole Mike Manley's motorcycle. Tell the others. On December the 6th, at about 1:45, Officer Champion observed a short, heavy-set male, later identified. Boy, that's got to be the worst part of your day, is being identified by a cop as a short, heavy-set guy. John Joseph Menibusen. The police officer saw him driving a Suzuki motorcycle, just like the one that was stolen from Mike Manley's house in August. So Officer Champion does what he's supposed to. Further observed that the motorcycle's taillight was defective, so traffic stopped. Further observed that there was no current registration sticker on the motorcycle. Officer Champion requested the defendant's license and registration. The defendant replied he did not have a license, and he had just gotten the motorcycle, so he didn't have any paperwork for it. Oh. Officer Champion explained to the defendant, since he had no paperwork for the motorcycle, he was going to be detained until we could verify the status. The defendant immediately became confrontational with Officer Champion, started digging his pockets, refused to comply with Officer Champion's orders, and a struggle ensued between Champion and the defendant. After using his taser twice. That's right, baby. Somebody got tasered.
Get up, it's Jesus Day.
And with the assistant of Sergeant Amagan, who arrived on the scene as backup, Officer Champion was finally able to handcuff the defendant. After a pat down the defendant, Officer Champion recovered, a glass pipe with residue. The defendant stated, in summoned substance, they're using that a lot, that an unknown female had slipped the pipe into his pants. This is great. They tested the substance, which yielded a presumptive positive for amphetamines, and a used syringe was later recovered from the motorcycle. Champ ran the license plate to the motorcycle and discovered that the plate was actually associated with another motorcycle, not the one that he was driving. So, first of all, the guy steals Mike Manley's motorcycle and then changes the plates on it, and then goes and meets up with a girl who shoved a pipe in his pants.
You know, these criminals don't seem to understand that the police don't actually care where you got it. It's just that you had it.
You're in possession of something that was stolen from somebody, and you tried to cover it up by using a license plate from another that you stole from another motorcycle.
That's really the reason why I won't get a motorcycle. I've thought about it because I'd really like to have one.
Yeah.
It's great, economical. That's all I need. It's only me. But the reason I won't is because somebody will steal it.
You'd have to park it inside, and that's a pain in the butt because you'd have to take that up the stairs.
Yeah. They kind of frown on that.
Look, I've pondered the idea many times of driving a motorcycle. In fact, we got guys from the Guam Hogs that are going to come into the studio a little bit later on. They're going to have their big Christmas run before too much longer, so I've got them coming in this morning to talk about that. I think you need to have a little bit of confidence when you ride a motorcycle. And for me, it's been a long time since I've been on two-wheeled vehicle. So I don't know that I have that kind of confidence anymore. And I'm an old man driver anymore, so it's not even like I'd feel the need for speed. It's just I'd get out. I'd be slowing traffic down. But you know, I'm inspired when I go to the Philippines. That's when I'm inspired again to think about getting a motorcycle, because they've got guys running around little 75s, little 125 cc's. I mean, you don't.
Well,
it doesn't.
It's not really a motorcycle.
Shut up! Yes, it is. It's a
That's
motor.
a dirt bike, bro.
No, they look like motorcycles.
750 is a motorcycle.
If I spilled in a 750, it would crush me.
No, you get up and ride it, man. Come on. Dude.
No,
Just lay it down.
750. I would fall on me, and I'd be like one of those guys in old movies, Western movies, with a horse on me. You know, it'd take two guys to lift it, to stand it up straight. I'm just not, I don't think I'm strong enough to right.
750 is fine. That's right in your range.
Yeah.
650, 750. I mean, like for me, I wouldn't want to go up over anything over 1,000. 1,000 would be kind of top out for me. Because I'm number one. I'm only 5'9" on a full moon. So, and my legs are short. So I don't need to be in a big bike because I couldn't even straddle the thing right,
Debbie Canata online on the Facebook Live. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I see it, and it's the Philippines, and I'm thinking, okay, well, while I'm waiting at that hated airport for the airplane ride to take me back to Guam, I usually convince myself, because I'm serious, the thought stays with me for a while. I usually convince myself that might be the dumbest idea ever.
I know why you want to ride a bike in the Philippines. Because they don't actually have to follow the traffic rules.
Oh, yeah.
Because I rode one while I was there for a while. So you got to keep your head on a swivel even more so than if you're in a car. But I mean, when they're stopped, you get to pull up to the very front of the line, and then when it goes, you go, and it's just, it's just how it is there. So there were advantages.
There's kind of a motorcycle Uber there. Or Grab or Lyft. I can't remember the name of it. But if you don't need to ride a car to get someplace, my understanding is that you can flag these guys down, or everything's digital out there, or download the app and you get on the back of a motorcycle with a guy or a girl and go ride around in it. I had opined to a couple of friends after seeing that in a car, in a Lyft. I was in a Lyft. That the ridership on the motorcycle thing, probably more women that were riding around on these motorcycles than men. And was that, why do you think that? Number one, I'm observing it. Almost every time I saw one of those motorcycle commuter deals, it had a girl riding on the back of it. And they said, why is that, do you suppose? And I said, I think the reason why that is because they feel adventurous. It feels like it's an adventure. It's an easy adventure to have to ride around with a guy on a motorcycle, and he doesn't need to be your boyfriend. He doesn't need to be anything serious in your life. You just need him for a ride. And so you get in the back of the motorcycle, you put your arms around him, you got the helmet on your head, and pretty soon you're feeling the breeze in your face. And when your ride's done, that little 5-cent fantasy is all done as well. So how about that? That's what I was thinking. I'd love to see if there is anybody that has done some kind of research on that. 888-8255-888-TALK is the story. I was talking about cops and the cops doing their work. A couple of the other stories that are floating around here, you might be able to find this one on one of the daily posts. There it is, Saturday's post. 3 officers in the viral video have been reassigned. And even though Stephen Ignacio has said we're going to try to be as transparent as possible with all of this, I guess there's limits to how much transparency they can have, because we still don't officially know the names of anybody that was involved in that particular viral video. But I guess we're all supposed to feel better that if you do get pulled over or if you do get in trouble, you probably if you do what the cop says, don't be like this idiot that was fighting with Officer Champion. The policeman says, stop what you're doing, stop what you're doing. Don't get aggressive, don't front. These guys are trained to do stuff like that, to do things like that, and assert control over you and a degree of discipline in the arrest process. And it might include an open slap. That is part of the protocol, though it didn't look like it was an open slap when in the viral video. So we'll find all of that stuff out in the investigation. Or in the case of Officer Champion, hold on, I'm going to call a guy, number one. And number two, I've got a taser and you don't. Guess what? I'm going to taser you, dude. And apparently he had to do that a couple of times. Who's saying that? Where are we now? Chris Chip said, I lived in the PI for 11 years before Guam. I've seen more scooters pinned under buses than any other vehicle. Yeah, see, now that's another thing. It's not so much that I'm not that confident that I can't ride a bike. I figure that maybe after a little time, a couple of weeks on a bike after hitting the road for a few times, I might get that confidence back. I used to have mopeds and bikes when I was in high school and younger. I might get that confidence back. But, in this day of age, and the kind of distracted driving that we have. Yes. Back in the olden days, the most distracted a driver would get would change the radio stations, right? Or maybe somebody eating a hot dog in the car, or maybe a woman sitting at the light putting her lipstick on, that kind of thing. That's as distracted, I think, as people were back in the old days. But now, just changing the radio station on the car, you got to look at what is now essentially a computer screen in some cars. So that's not as easy as, feeling your way around the buttons or feeling your way around the knobs. It's a different kind of sensation, different attention that needs to be put on that. Never mind, never change the radio station. How about change the mode of what you're listening to? Maybe you want to go from listening to the radio to listening to Bluetooth or Apple what is it, auto and CarPlay, all of those things. There's a whole other section on how to use that. So even that, what used to be a fairly simple process, has gotten a little bit more difficult. Plus, you've got these things now in your hand. Everybody driving around, and even though we've got the law that says you are not to use the cell phone like this, not supposed to have it in your hand, not supposed to put it, cradle it to your ear. Dude, I've seen cops doing that.
The ones I like are the ones that are at the stoplight. I mean, there are about 2 or 3 cars in the line, and so they're not looking to go right away. So they're there on their phones, and then suddenly the cars will leave in front of them, and they're still on their phones.
Okay, that's me you're talking about. Just want to let you know I'm that guy, because I get at the lights and I got an idea of how long the light is going to last. ITC building, you can at the ITC building, that intersection there, you can go through all of your Facebook messages, your WhatsApp messages, maybe even a couple of stops on Twitter, and see what's going on in the world before that light turns green and you've got to go. But trust me, the guy behind you that wasn't on his phone will let you know in no uncertain terms that it's green. Go, idiot, move now. And usually it's me, and I'll be somewhat apologetic about all of that stuff. But anyway, so you got that kind of distracted driving, and that's the point that I want to make here, is back in the olden days, there wasn't all that many distractions for drivers, and there were still motorcycle and car accidents. It's 2019, be 2020, and 3.5 Fridays. So there are a lot more distractions out there, and if I was, it's one thing just being a runner and getting to an intersection. Because the cars are always looking in the other direction. It doesn't matter which way I'm running on the sidewalk. The car is always looking in the other direction. And I won't go through an intersection unless I'm either going behind the car or I've made eye contact with the driver. And that just seems, as you say, you got to have your head on a swivel anyway. But in this day and age, with as much distracted driving as there is, I think there's even more of that is required. 8:55 in the morning. Anyway, so we've got that story there. 3 officers in a viral video have been reassigned. And I don't know what to make of this other than, oh, my God, this is the biggest tease from the Attorney General's office. I feel like I'm being toyed with here. As a member of the media, the story comes out Saturday without specifying the nature of the allegations and who and how many government officials are involved. Guam's Attorney General Levin Camacho Friday released a statement about certain allegations. It says the Office of the Attorney General can confirm it has received allegations against government officials. And there really isn't too much after that. There really isn't too much. This reminds me of the dead body they found over at Micronesia Mall, right? That we found a body. Can you tell us anything more? Nope. Found a body. Gender. Not telling you. Ethnic background. Nope. Not telling you. Possible reasons for this outcome. Nope. Not going to say a word. Was the body that far decomposed? Was it that difficult so that you could not render an easy judgment on the gender, ethnic background, or possible causes of death? I don't know. But in this case, everybody, we've talked about corruption in the government for years. And there have always been allegations of corruption in the government. And then the Blas case explodes. And now not just allegations out there, but they're allegations with a purpose. Yeah, you can have sex with that girl that was picked up for possession of vice if you want to, if you're a cop or if you're a marshal over at the judiciary. We'll make those arrangements. Yeah, we can do all of that stuff. What, do you get somebody in jail? You need him to get out for a little bit? I know a guy, and he'll look the other way. And so they're investigating those kinds of allegations now. Is that what they're talking about here? Is that what are these the robots that we're looking for? Are these the allegations that the Attorney General is also looking into along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation? And the answer is, I don't know. They're not saying anything. They're just saying, yeah, there's allegations that have been made. We're on it. And we'll work with whoever it is that we need to work with. If there's any felony charges, we've been informed that there aren't any available grand jury proceedings in the next week, which means that nothing is going to the grand jury right now. They're just investigating these allegations of wrongdoing and corruption. I would suppose that maybe you know a thing or two. Maybe you've got some allegations of wrongdoing and corruptions. Tell you what, if you want someone to look into it, call me. use my WhatsApp. Send me a direct message on Facebook. I know how to keep a secret, and I know who it is that I would turn these stories over to for more investigation. Somebody that's got the time and the resources to do the investigation. So if you want somebody to look into it, yeah, you let me know, and I'll see if I can direct some firepower and some firepower discipline on certain subjects for you if you like. 858-888-8255, 888-TALK. Tens of thousands of dollars in public funds were used for a survey about the perceptions of the police force. GPD released the findings in a 68-page report. From August of 2019, GPD said scheduling conflicts prevented the findings from being published any earlier. 877 people responded to it. About 40% surveyed rated police performance as, let me see, what's the rest of the story say? Poor or fair. 16.7 said police performance was excellent. I didn't take that, otherwise it would have been a full 17% with excellent police performance. I've found that in my working with certain police officers, I've generally always been satisfied. But then now to take a look at this thing, and high concerns over crime, according to this survey. I could have saved the government of Guam all kinds of money on this. $60,000 was originally spent was talked about getting spent for this survey to find out that people are concerned about crime. No duh. I got a buddy of mine left a pretty lucrative job to open a store that sells guns and ammunition and gun toys. Why? Are there that many gun nuts on Guam? No, there's that many new people that have guns that have got their concealed carry permits and have found different ways to be able to defend themselves. It is now a going concern, this position, this business that he has. Virtually every weekend there's range activity and classes with people that are signing up to protect themselves. What's the old line? When seconds count, police are just minutes away. The time, 9 o'clock in the morning. We are KUSG. Haganya, the Ray Gibson Show continues in just a bit.
He bought his gun in Florida. I'm Jane Metzler, Fox News. The Saudi military trainee used a Glock handgun to kill 3 U.S. sailors, wounding 8 other people at the Pensacola Naval Air Station Friday. That gun purchased legally and locally. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is outraged.
It's a federal loophole that he took advantage of. You know, I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment, but the Second Amendment applies so that we, the American people, can keep and bear arms. It does not apply to Saudi Arabians. And so he had no constitutional right to do that for sure.
The governor says the 21-year-old gunman, a Saudi Air Force second lieutenant, could and should have been stopped before he killed.
Come on. He obviously, I mean, he had a major social media trail. This guy was somebody who you know, just had a deep-seated hatred for the United States, and that was pretty clear.
DeSantis says Saudi military trainees should no longer be allowed into this country. Those in Pensacola now being confined to a specific area on base, and they are said to be cooperating with what the FBI now calls a terror investigation. Senate Judiciary Committee Chair Lindsey Graham also calling for suspension of that Saudi training program, and he agrees with President Trump's decision not to participate in tomorrow's House impeachment hearing, calling them unfair.
This is being driven by Schiff and Nadler, Pelosi, partisan people. I think it's going to meet a quick end in the Senate.
Graham on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures. Here's what Judiciary Committee Chair Jerry Nadler said on Meet the Press.
There is overwhelming evidence, uncontested by the Republicans, that the president put himself above the country, that the president sought foreign assistance in elections, sought to cover it up.
America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, what's that?
A Subway Big Hot Pastrami.
My Big Hot Pastrami?
No, my Subway Big Hot Pastrami. Get your own.
Get your own Subway Big Hot Pastrami. Tender, juicy beef on freshly baked sunflower crunch bread, topped with pickles and mustard. Finish off your meal with all new seasoned potato wedges, baked to perfection right in the restaurant. Both available for a limited time only. Subway, make it what you want.
The holidays are here and the shopping frenzy begins. Protect yourself with these safe shopping tips. Consider shopping only with retailers you trust or do some research on other retailers you aren't familiar with before proceeding. Don't save your credit card information on retail websites and never make payments when using public Wi-Fi. Switch to cellular data or wait until you get to a secure network to make your purchases. These safe holiday banking tips are brought to you by Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, member FDIC.
Black tape today on police badges in Houston, Texas, and Fayetteville, Arkansas, after separate fatal police shootings yesterday.
Both of these officers were fatally shot just within hours of each other last night. The Arkansas officer had been with the Fayetteville Police Department since April of 2017. Police say the 27-year-old officer, Stephen Carr, was ambushed and executed around 9:45 last night when he was sitting in his patrol car behind the police station. He was shot at point-blank range. Officers say they found the armed suspect, 35-year-old London Phillips, behind the police station. Officers say there was a confrontation. They fired their weapons, and Phillips died at the scene. Carr was described as a dedicated officer who just wanted to serve his community. The Arkansas police chief says the FBI will assist in the investigation of his death. He held a press conference this morning and said he believes the man who fatally shot Carr wasn't targeting him specifically, but was just looking for an officer to kill.
Fox's Christina Coleman. For nearly 50 years, he was the voice of Big Bird.
Surprise!
Legendary puppeteer Carol Spinney was also the voice of Oscar the Grouch.
I love trash.
From 1969 until his retirement last year, Spinney played both characters, helping put Sesame Street on the map. He suffered from a neurological disorder that ended his career last year and died today at his home in Connecticut at the age of 85. Spinney said before he arrived on Sesame Street, he didn't feel like what he was doing was very important, and Big Bird helped him find his purpose. Colleagues called him a kind and loving creative genius. Still number one at the weekend box office, third straight weekend, Frozen 2. In New York, I'm Jane Metzler, and this is Fox News.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
An easily overlooked part of covering our home is what's inside of it. Over time, we buy things we don't want to lose, but don't update our contents coverage. The smart thing to do is get the answers and level up our insurance to make sure we're totally protected.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Rent, lease. What does Horizon do for you? Here's a clue. Advertising, marketing, screening, inspecting, instructing, leasing and signing, collecting and complying, inquiring and assessing, coordinating, repairing, renewing, enforcing, evicting, moving, cleaning, rekeying, communicating. Do it yourself and you'll find it taxing. We work hard to keep the vacancies low, so at the end of the month, you collect the dough. Proven and trusted. Horizon Properties. We do it all. 777-7792.
Want to grow your business? Start a new venture? Or stay ahead of the competition? You can. With Docomo Pacific Smart Business Solutions tailored to your specific needs and ambitions, you can do it all. Partner with a network with best-in-class network coverage, state-of-the-art communication platforms, and a team dedicated to providing you with premium support. Call 688-2677 to start your journey to success today. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
I saw that dude Saturday night. He was at that silent disco party that I was telling you about earlier. 6 after 9 o'clock in the morning, the Ray Gibson Show is brought to you by American President Lines, APL, with a global presence and a local home.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show.
Interesting conversation, side chat going on Facebook Live. I was talking about getting a motorcycle, you know, that dream that I have one day of getting a motorcycle and being able to, you know, zip in and out of traffic and just, you know, a little bit of gasoline last me all month long, and just that kind of thing. I don't know if I'd take it all the way to Guam hog level, because I think I want to say when we start talking about the hogs, we're talking about a certain size of the engine that you've got to have, right? I mean, you guys would laugh me out of the place if I showed up in a 75 or 125 125cc, right?
Yeah, you'd have a hard time keeping up with most of the bikes.
Keeping up with them, you guys. I've never seen you go fast. You guys are cruising all the time. Eric Lewis in the studio here, representing the Guam Hogs, and we are at that time of the year. It is one of their favorite events. I think it is a favorite event island-wide. Is the Christmas Candy Run going to be taking place?
Yes, sir.
Tell me the details.
Okay, well, basically it's the same thing we do every year. At the end of the year, we get together, we gather a bunch of candy, we throw it in bags, we ride around the north and south parts of the island, and we throw the candy out to the kids that are living in the low-cost housing, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just trying to spread a little bit of Christmas cheer to maybe kids that don't necessarily get it. So.
Oh, it is a grand time, and my favorite thing about it is you always know when they're in your village. You can hear the sound of the engines announces that Santa Claus, Santa Claus is on the way. About how many guys and girls participate in this?
Oh, I'd say normally we have at least 100 bikes, probably both ways.
Yeah.
Sometimes more. It ebbs and flows depending on the year. But,
yeah, I guess. But generally, a lot of people that come out to participate and support. And it's not all just Guam Hogs, right?
No, it's all the clubs. It's all the different motorcycle clubs and independent riders. Everybody's welcome. That's the whole point.
This would be the day for those of you with the 125s and anything under 1,000. This would be the day to go out there and ride with the guys.
All bikes are welcome.
All riders are going to be welcome for this. So how do we get started in this? So if you want to participate, do I have to register or anything?
No, you don't. Basically, this is starting with our candy bagging, which is this coming Saturday on December 14th. It's 8 o'clock in the morning at the GW High School cafeteria. And so this is where all the clubs, Guam Hogs, other clubs, other volunteers will come together and actually bag the candies.
Where are you getting the candy from?
That's different donations, and I can get into our sponsors.
For sure. But so a whole bunch of candy, though, is going to get bagged up.
We've got, it's over 5,000 pieces of candy. I think we're at 6,000 this year.
Nice.
And so we all get together, and something special this year with George Washington is that we have the GW ROTC and the National Honor Society, so they're coming in to help with their kids.
Need any more guys doing that?
Anybody can come to that.
Okay.
And the more volunteers that we have, then obviously the faster the bagging goes. So most days or most years we're done by about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
Okay. That's morning, not night, right?
Yes.
It ain't going to be an all-day packing gig. We'll go through about 5,000 or 6,000 pieces of candy.
Get those all bagged up and get ready. Okay. So then the following day, Sunday the 15th, is our actual ride.
Okay.
So we're going to be meeting at Shirley's in Agania at 9 o'clock. And that's again on December 15th, this coming Sunday.
If you're in the Agania area and wondering what time it is, when you can feel the earth shake, it'll be 9.
Right.
That's when it's going to happen.
You see all them. That's our made-up time. If you want to get breakfast at Shirley's, go a little bit earlier. And then 9:30 we have our safety brief, and 10:45 we split into the north and south groups and roll out and do our ride.
Oh, now where's it going to end up?
So we end up at Wild Bill's in Tamuning, and that's thanks to Wayne Wixon and Wild Bill's, and we have our after party there.
Those guys are terrific.
Yeah.
Can I just show up to the after party?
Yeah, you can. Sure.
Nothing like a Hogs party over at Wild Bill's. That's how it got the name. It was just Bill's until the Hogs started hanging out there, and then it became Wild Bill's. I think is the story. So now tell me about the safety brief. I mean, you guys are all riders from a long time ago. What is it that you generally remind the riders about?
Well, we're talking about the route. If there are obstacles or bad patches on the road, we're talking about our stops and how we're going to go about doing that. Just reminding people, most years the kids want to run right out into the bikes, and we need to be real cautious about that. Or if we stop and they want to run up to the bikes are very hot, so we're just reminding people.
No,
haven't done it before.
Aside from the good feel that you're going to get, what's in it for the riders here?
I mean, that's all it is for me. I like going around. Obviously, riding the bike on the island's nice, but when we go around and you just see how happy the kids are and how excited they are.
Oh, sweet. Well, because the poster I'm looking at says something about a year pin and good fellowship. So I know that there's going to be fellowship. What's a year pin?
Well, the year pin is something that you put on your colors.
Yeah.
And so every year, if it's your first time ride, you get a round pin that's a candy pin ride.
Okay.
Okay, so you get that, and then every year that you've participated, you get another bar. It's a little bar with a year on it. And so we do that every year.
Yeah. So how many years has this been going? I mean, as long as I've been on the radio.
26, 27 years, as long as the club has been around.
So that there's always been a Guam Hogs candy run. And then again, this one's going to be taking place on the 15th. Starts about 9:45, and then you're going to head into the north and south. Why do you do it that way, as opposed to just island-wide riding?
I think it would probably just take too long, and so we split it up into 2 groups.
They're waiting for you at Wild Bill's.
Right. Yeah, they're waiting for us. We don't want to be at Wild Bill's too late. So, it's just, and also with the amount of riders. So, as you're going into some of these smaller areas, if you have all of those bikes going through, it's a little bit too much. So we split it up.
I think that's the smarter move. Now, you wanted to talk about sponsors and say thanks for people that are helping out.
Excuse me.
It's all right.
Of course, IP&E, they're always our main sponsor.
Well, if you take a look at the flyer, IP&E is right there in the center of it. I mean, so obviously these guys have been big supporters of the Hogs.
IP&E always has been for years and years and years, and so they're the ones that give us the most funding, and basically that's to go purchase candy. This year we also have Guam Harley-Davidson. They're helping us out with some vans to run the candy around, support vehicles, things like that. GTA has made donations. Trivision is, put our posters and advertising up on the boards. And then we have to shout out to Kathy Rayford of Moon Sister for actually making our posters.
But it's a good-looking design.
She did a good job with that. We've also had other people that have done cash donations, and again, this is mainly for buying the candy. So there'd be Brotherhood of Veterans, Marianas Medical Specialist Group, the Ladies Auxiliary from VFW Post 1509 up in Jigo.
Nice. What's for dinner? When's T-Bone night?
Tammy Mendiola, Andy Carrillo from our club. They also made some donations. We had candy donations from Liberty 50, Tactical, Sean Corey, and Ordot Chalampalo Elementary School.
I think I know those guys.
Yep. And then we got a water slide donated by some of our members, Papa Gill, Bam and Antoinette. Brad Dixon, Kiwi. Thanks for that, guys.
So what are you going to use a water slide for?
That's for the kids. So the kids are welcome. It's not for the adults.
Not for the adults?
No,
okay.
We're trying to stay out of it.
Not this time. It's for the adults. I like that. Well, because there's other crazy opportunities that you guys have got to get together. So all riders are welcome. You want to volunteer, then get a hold of me, and I will put you in a hold with Eric and Arlene and everybody from the Guam Hogs, and everybody's going to, it's fun to pull on this rope. Sure. So I would suggest that you do it. The ride again, meet up at Shirley's in Agana, safety briefing following that, and then at 9:45 it's rollout, and everybody should be at Wild Bill's. About what time?
Normally we're there about 2 o'clock. And kids are welcome there. We have food. Lonnie Clark's making a big pulled pork.
Oh.
And then Jerry and Peggy Hartwick are donating more food. So kids and family are welcome. We have canopies set up outside and the water slide and everything like that.
Oh, that is going to be spectacular. So if you pass by the area, you might want to put a couple of dollars in somebody's hands, just cause, and maybe help them out getting ready for next year. What else is the Hogs going to be up to? I mean, I know that this is the high point of on the Hogs holiday calendar. You guys got anything else going on? Any big rides?
This is our last event.
This is it.
That's like a big sigh of relief. Obviously we do things throughout the year, different Wounded Warrior rides and Christmas in July, and just a lot of veterans rides and things like that. So it's a busy year. So right now we actually are going to have a small break before we have to start up committees again for next year.
But it sounds like a good time, and there's always and you can join the Hogs anytime you want to. I mean, it's not like we have to
ride with us. You don't have to be a member to ride with us. We have our meetings on our first Sunday of every month, and guests are welcome. Normally, you're there with one of the members. And you get introduced and get to know people, and then if you end up liking the club, then you can
eventually you'll get your colors.
You can probate and see if you want to ride with us.
Well, and it's just if for no other reason, it's just fun to ride. I mean, we were talking earlier about motorcycles and the great utility of having a motorcycle on Guam, economical way to get from point A to point B, and so if that's all you're thinking about in terms of being a bike guy, okay, that's one thing. But with you guys, I mean, it's
never mind the utility of it, really.
Yeah, here's the fun.
group
What are we
of
doing
brothers
this
and
weekend?
sisters. We're a group of brothers and sisters. We
Mhm.
all look after each other, and we really help each other out a lot.
Well, I mean, outside
Group.
of things like this, what's the excuse to ride anytime? What's like
Get
the next
out,
one?
get the wind in your hair.
Yeah.
Get outside. Get away from the electronics. Get away from TVs.
Mhm.
Get away from all of that, and just go out and enjoy the
And,
ride.
and enjoy the ride,
bike.
enjoy the fellowship,
Yeah,
running around with the
enjoy
guys.
The island. The island's beautiful. Right?
Yeah.
So-
Well, I mean, you get to see a whole lot from that perspective, and the roads that we were also talking about. For me, it would probably take a while, but I'd find my confidence again to get on a bike and ride around and do that kind of thing. But it's not so much that I'm worried that I would be a bad motorcycle driver. I just worry about the other guys out there. Isn't that's got to factor into you?
That's one of the advantages of riding with a group. You're a lot more visible.
Mhm.
And so if you've got 10 or 100 bikes or something like that, the cars really take a lot more notice.
Yeah, they'll see you. They'll see you over the phone. They'll be able to see you over the dashboard,
Yeah,
and
hopefully.
certainly hear
And
you
hear
coming.
you.
They'll definitely be able to hear you coming. So maybe that's the idea: is get yourself something big and something throaty. I heard about, and we talked about this once or twice on the radio, but Harley Davidson is making, and I'm sure others are as well. But Harley Davidson is making an electric motorcycle.
I heard something about
Had
that,
you-
and
had
I'm
you
kind of
seen it?
curious how that's going to work. I mean, whether they'll have a speaker with some motorcycle sounds on it? Or?
No, that's done. That's absolutely done, because there's a bunch of car makers, and the reason is not so much that we've got this thing in simulating the sound of a Harley Davidson. It's just that sometimes these things run so quiet that pedestrians, people that are visually impaired, aren't going to be able to hear them coming, and they'll step out into traffic and get run over by a motorcycle because it couldn't hear the engine.
Somehow I just can't see how that's going to be the same. When an electric bike is going to be
No, because you need to have those little explosions happening, don't you? The internal combustion engine. You're going to have something like that. But I mean, from a rider perspective, what are your thoughts on an electric bike?
I mean, it's really hard to say without riding it.
Mhm.
As long as you've got the power and everything like that, I guess it would be the same. But part of the allure of a Harley is the rumble and all the sounds and the everything
and the
that's part
hackability of the ride. No two Harleys are the same.
Oh, not really.
They come off the assembly line, maybe looking similar to
Then
each other.
everybody starts tweaking everything.
Yeah. Oh, and that's easily one of my favorite things. And you start looking for the differences between one motorcycle and another. And it's, they might have come off the assembly line on the same day, but once they come out here and get in the hands of the guys, it can does that turn into an expensive hobby for you?
Of course
Is
it does,
that's why
Harley
you work for a
Davidson things
living?
are not cheap. And the more you specialize it, of course, the more expensive it is.
Is there?
But it's like a mission of love for most people, right?
Of course.
There's a lot of pride in the bikes.
So do you park yours inside the house or outside?
I don't really have a place inside. I've got one in my living room, and I've got the one that I ride most of the time.
You've got one in the living room.
Yeah, I do.
Wait a second. You've got two?
Yeah, I've got one that's a Softail, Heritage Softail, and then the other one's a Night Train.
I have no idea what you're talking about there.
It's just two different styles of Harleys.
Nice. Do you get a chance to get out on the other one
All the
very
time.
often? Okay.
Oh, no, the one in the living room I'm just putting back together.
Oh, I see. Well, there's some of that in there as well. It is still an internal combustion engine, and there's lots to be done to maintain and repair them. And fortunately, we've got guys like you around here that know how it gets done. Eric, thanks for coming by the radio station. It's always a pleasure.
I need to do one more shout out. I'm going to get beat up by my girlfriend if I don't mention it. So, but Kareem Bunn was our committee chairman this year.
Everybody knows her.
And she and everybody that was on the committee have been working really hard over the last few months to get this whole event together. So just wanted to do a shout out and say thanks, Kareem. You guys are doing a great job.
And it's almost over. Just a few more days, and it'll be past, and then we get to be able to go back and do some of the other fun stuff that you were up to. 20 after 9 o'clock in the morning. Yep, I got you. And we're going to take a real quick break. Come back with a couple of other things. Eric, thanks very much for coming by.
Thanks for
and
having
again,
us.
you want details? Call me. Send me a direct message on Facebook, and I will bounce the graphic back to you so that you can see what's going on this weekend with the Guam Hogs and their 2019 Christmas Candy Run. iConnect time is 9:21. Swing by the nearest iConnect and tell them I told you to ask them about saving money on your mobile, internet, and push-to-talk plans. Or something else.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Kelaguen Hapa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mezcla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mezcla, a true taste of Guam.
When you think about better water, think Kinetico softened water. Kinetico water conditioners work like no other, supplying a continuous flow of luxuriously soft water without disruption and without use of electricity. After all, better water flows from better thinking. Kinetico.
American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
That's nice. Gets a little quiet in the studio, and I get a chance to take a look at some of the pictures that have been sent on the WhatsApp. I like to think that technologically we're a step ahead of everybody else in the media. And you know, the same way that you've got a village WhatsApp going on, we got a radio station WhatsApp that's going on. 988-5874 is my phone number. Is the phone number, but don't call. I want you to use that number just for WhatsApps. If you've got some just gorgeous pictures, nice little sunrise this morning up in Jigo. Thanks very much for sending that along. So if you've got funny memes or something like that, just send it over, and I'll be happy to give you all of the credit that you need. Or sometimes it's just fun to take a picture of something and show it off to the world. Studio time 9:23 in the morning. 888-825-888-TALK is the telephone number. And here's a lady got no shortage of TALK in her life. Arlene Live. Arlene Steffi's online. Good morning, Arlene. How you doing?
Good morning, Ray. I'm very well, and you?
You know what? I'm okay because I don't have the flu that you've got.
Oh my goodness, this is a butt kicker, literally.
I heard. I heard. A friend of mine is in the doctor business, and she sent me a note the other day. Said, "Wash your hands, take care of yourself, because you don't want this flu that's going around." Apparently, you're right. It'll kick your butt. It'll make your teeth hurt.
Well, I don't know about the teeth part. I got good teeth. I also have good doctors that take care of the teeth. But Spencer comes home from a golf tournament in the Philippines and made me sick, but not to the degree that he's been really fighting this for, 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then now Bob has caught it, and I'm looking at him and say, cover your mouth, because the last thing I want to do is start to lose my voice, and coughing. It's terrible.
Well, Klitsky's got something that's been keeping him coughing for a while. He had, I think it was Tom Poole that was on the phone with him the other day talking about how long he's had his cough. And it was a conversation at the dinner table last night. And the distinction between the flu that's floating around here and what you might get if you go to the Philippines. I'm hearing the same thing. People that have gone to the Philippines picked up a bug out there and come, and they're out for the count, Arlene.
Oh, tell me about it. If I wasn't working at home, I would be totally out of a job, because it's so annoying. The symptoms come and go. The symptoms, I think on my side, I think I'm semi-fortified because I take flu shots.
Yeah.
But you can't take every, there's not every shot for everything that's out there, so it's a hit and miss. But, I rarely get sick. And this one, honestly, I am almost in front of the doctor's clinic here at IHP to see Dr. Hugh, because he said it will take 10 days for the virus to get out of the system.
Yeah.
And we've been fighting this for more than 2 weeks. And now we're both getting better. But, with the old man sick now, we're vulnerable. So I want to see Hugh and say, what do we fortify ourselves against the old guy?
Well, Hugh's a good duck, and he'll take good care of you. I know he comes from good stock out there. So 926. The reason why I got ours on the line is that it's the last one of 2019, number 17 in the Mark Seminar Series, and you've got one of the guys on Guam I consider to be one of Guam's best big thinkers. Jerry Perez is going to be number 17.
You know, Uncle Jerry is packed with stuff. I mean, this guy, I never bore sitting with him because, one, he's a biologist. Two, he's a wildlife biologist.
Mm-hmm.
Three, he's into tourism. Four, he was with GITA, with GVB. I mean, the list goes on, and then he gets a PhD when he should be retired.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's an adjunct. The guy is like a never-ready battery, just keeps on going.
That's a fact. I see him out regularly, and we get into some interesting conversations. I try not to bother him because I know the kind of big thinking that he's capable of doing. But every once in a while, we'll get together and shoot the breeze. And it's never the same subject twice. I mean, you think that the thing we'd get into, we'd just talk business. But you're right. He's a very well-rounded individual, kind of a Renaissance fella. But in this case, we are going to be asking him about I don't want to say general economic terms, but in keeping with some of the other the other seminar series that you've done, we're examining the potential outcomes of a change in our political status.
Well, I don't think anyone will argue that the discussion is merited different facets of the issue. This is not a political issue for everyone. And that's something that we need to take, to look at. Mm-hmm. It's very political for your Uncle Robert, but it's not political for a lot of other people. It is economic for some. It is emotional for others. But the status affects people, the potential status, the potential change. So with Jerry, because of the business background that he's got, mm-hmm. he's so into development of tourism. And so when I was looking for speakers, and next year we're going to change things up a bit, but I said, Uncle Jerry, we need you to come in to talk about how the potential of changing the political status to whatever status. This isn't arguing the status change. It's arguing or the different changes. But what is it to economics? Now, we all know that other people have spoken about economics and the potential, but Jerry Perez is living it. You know what I'm saying? He's the ground. He's on the ground. He knows the climate. He knows the considerations that it takes to bring people to a destination. He is a world traveler.
Yeah.
He knows, he smells it, he lives it, he breathes it. And so I said, would you come in and speak to us about the change? How vulnerable is Guam under a different status, whatever that status is? And he said, sure.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. But I'm trying to figure out what I should read into the title of his presentation. What price, ? The myth of independence. And it sounds to me like he's kind of already made up his mind, at least from that sentence, that independence would not necessarily be a great thing for the territory, for the island of Guam at the end of it, because it could destabilize the pretty good thing that we've got now.
Well, whenever we work on a title, it has to be allure, right?
Well, that's very provocative. It's provocative, to be sure.
Of course. Now, I worked with him on that, and he wanted to change it. I said, no, leave this alone. So I'm the one that put the question mark on the price, because there's a cost to everything. But what is the price? And when I say that, I'm talking about as travelers ourselves, what is it that attracts us to a destination? Palau is an independent country, and they have a lot of travelers. There are many independent countries in the world that attract travelers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily pointing to the negativism of independence, But the question is, what is the price? And if the people of Guam are going to make a decision on any conditions regarding their status, you need to look around and say, are they happy with the existing? What's the price to change it? And so everyone's gonna chime in differently on that. You and I have come up the media ladder almost simultaneously, but in different sides, different sides of the equation. Yet you and I have opinions about one side or the other. Sometimes we align, sometimes we don't align. But when you make a decision that is going to impact people's lives, and when they make a decision that has to impact their own lives,
what's the price? What is the price of that? Yeah. How do we determine what that's going to be? What price will independence be? Now, also the line about the myth of independence, and I imagine that there might be among those in the activist community, Mike Bavakwas, et cetera, that would bristle at the idea that there is a myth of independence, like there would be something successful down the road for us.
Well, until you know how something really works, it's always a concept. It's always a consideration. Until it's placed in application, I mean, let's not go very far.
Yeah.
Marriage in itself can be a myth.
I see what you're saying. I see where you're headed.
Okay. So unless, in a practical sense, whenever there is a change, I mean, we make the changes all the time, Ray. You and I have been there. We make changes based on what works for us.
Yeah.
So, not all marriages work, but does that mean that marriage is a myth? I spoke to someone very dear and close to the two of us, and I won't say her name on the radio, but she said, I don't believe in marriage because I look at my mom and I look at my other relatives and it doesn't work for them. But you know what? I look back at her today. She made the right choice for her, and her marriage works, and she works at making that marriage work. So if we change to independence, it's not a magic wand. It's not going to make things great right away. It has to work. We have to be part of the equation.
I hear what you're saying. It has to be everybody. It's not 50-50. It's 200% is what I tell people that, in terms of relationships, is both sides giving 100% to everything as opposed to one person contributing, another person contributing. And then that's the mathematics of it in terms of relationships. It's possible that we have to look at independence the same way as well. It won't be just a government, a different kind of government that will be seeing to the needs of the people. It's something that all of us as citizens of an independent nature have to be able to provide, towards our citizenship.
Absolutely. And political status is probably the largest decision that has to be made. And not everyone is making that decision because of colonization, of victimization by colonization, or because we've been denied our inherent and an inalienable right to choose how to be governed. That's the whole reason that we're imperfect people, because Adam chose to be independent. So, is that really a good position? I'm never going to tell someone how to do it because, honestly, I'm not convinced one way or the other that anything other than the current situation works, because this is all I know.
That's correct. That's correct, and it's so hard. It's hard to find people that have got the sense and make it easy for everybody to understand what will happen the day after we tell the United States, and what the United States will do the day after we tell them that we don't want to be in the club anymore. We want to be independent, and that's all there is to that. And we had a vote. Even the conversation about who gets to vote in these plebiscites is something that we've been wrestling with for as long as you and I have been on the radio. Longer.
Well, that's probably very true, and maybe even longer than that. But because if you look at the history, this has been an annoying virus. we have the symptoms of a problem that cannot be corrected because we're approaching it, apparently, according to the courts and according to Phil Carbolito's speech, it is not the process that's the problem. No one says that this is a wrong process, or that this is not something we should venture into. It's how we're doing it. When you impinge on the right of another citizen, then that makes it wrong. So you need to clarify how you're going to go through this. You need to change it because the United States government, in the basic principle, protects its citizens, and it has no color, it has no nation. It is a group of people that become citizens. Once you're a citizen, you have rights. And that therein lies the problem. As a matter of fact, if you want to even go farther than that, look at how they're addressing the impact of the FSM residents that are here. Even they have rights.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this is going to be a fun conversation. I can hardly wait to compile all this stuff together. So Jerry Parrish going to be speaking before the University of Guam tomorrow night, 6:30 at the Class Lecture Hall at UOG in Manila.
Absolutely. On time.
On time, yes. Well, if it's Jerry, it'll be on time. And go hang out with him and hear what he's got to say. It doesn't cost you anything. Open to the public, and that's when it's going to be, again, 6:30 tomorrow night at the Class Lecture Hall. If you miss it, and I urge you to do whatever it is that you need to do to your holiday shopping or caroling schedules, but make sure that, if you do miss it, you will be able to watch it on in a variety of locations. GTA 21, Docomo 117, the channels of KUAM, including Docomo TV1 and GTA's Channel 17. When do they show these? On I couldn't tell you whether I've seen a schedule for any of these channels.
Well, that's because, for one thing, we are doing this as volunteers, and so my paid work takes priority, and we are just about ready to post Phil Flores' lecture, which occurred last month.
Right.
But they are also on YouTube and in the Guam Legislative channels. So, a lot of it is predicated on editing schedules, and Jerry's will be up just as soon as we edit it, and we try to make it a priority because it's a timely, lecture. It's a timely topic. And so they stay there. And the legislature and KUAM put these up on rotation. So it's really difficult to say when they're going to run, but people see it. I mean, we get.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they do. Here's my problem, and I don't know that it's not my problem. Here's my issue: I don't have TV at my house. I have a box that's connected to the internet, and that's what I watch. So if it's not on Netflix or a Hulu or Amazon channel or YouTube, I probably won't see it. So, but I should be able to find them on YouTube, right?
It's on YouTube under the Micronesia. I'll send you a link, and you can share that with your listeners.
I'd love to.
It's under Micronesian Publishing. If you type in Mark, M-A-R-C, seminar series, you will get the list of everyone that has ever been there that we have featured, and up to the most recent. So the Mark Lectures Seminar Series, I'll send you a link, and then you can share that with your listeners.
Okay, I might be calling it up right now. First installment is already there, and you can go all the way back and see who is speaking, including Uncle Robert Underwood is the very first one, and the 10th installment was Laura Marie Torres Sauder. Mike Carson is up in there. So, yeah, that's the easy part. Just do a seminar, a search on YouTube for Mark Seminar, and you should get a bunch of hits, starting with the first one from Uncle Robert. I'll see if I can click into all of that and share the post with everybody. 20 away from 10 o'clock in the morning. You go take care of yourself. I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Tell the doctor I'm going to try not to see him soon.
Very good.
Appreciate it. Have a fantastic day. And I was going to say, do I say Merry Christmas to her? I'm going to anyway. 20 away from 10 o'clock in the morning. 888-825-5888. TALK is the telephone number. And I see where it says that there is the Mark Seminar Series under Micronesia Publishing. Okay, let me click this. And then I can copy that. And then paste it using significant broadcast technology here to be able to put this on the Facebook Live. There it is. All right, so if you click on that, that will take you back to YouTube to find all of the other stuff. Comments on it? Well, James Howard's out, and he's doing some commenting on this. Says, clean our house before we even consider independence and have a specific plan, goal, measurement, etc. I don't think we got that. Yeah, that's our goal. There we go. There it is. That's it. We're going to put everything in the recreational marijuana basket and hope that solves all of our problems around here. It won't, but it'll help us make us forget what some of those problems are. I'm not going to tell you where I was. I'll tell you the venue was inappropriate for it. And then we've got, as part of the laws on recreational marijuana, you're not supposed to smoke in public, right? That's one of
That is correct, sir.
That is one of the things. So I was at a place over the weekend, again, it shall remain nameless, and I thought there was enough of a breeze here that would have moved that smell along. But I was outdoors, and even though I was upwind of it, it was very clear to me that somebody within about a 50-foot radius of me was loading into a pipe or a marijuana cigarette.
Must have been pretty good if you could smell it from that far away.
From that far away, upwind. And, that was a conversation there. So it seems to me that it's funny because there used to be one of those things where you kind of go behind the building or go find someplace. And now it's kind of out in the open. You smoke marijuana cigarettes the same way you smoke a regular cigarette. In fact, there was another thing. I was at the beach yesterday. This got me by surprise completely. I'm at the beach, laying down, enjoying the bikinis, enjoying the sand and my toes and the water rushing, and got my headphones on, and a Korean guy comes up to me. Pretty sure he was Korean. And I see him approaching as I pull the headphone off out of my ear, and he comes to me and says, "Excuse me, can you tell me where the smoking section is?" This is at the beach. This is at Gun Beach in particular. Where is the smoking section at Gun Beach? I said, everywhere is the smoking section here. I guess in other places in the world, they don't let you smoke. In places that are far more uptight than Guam, they even look and even if you're outside at the beach, they say, "Oh, smoke here. Not allowed to smoke here. It's bad. It's no good for the children, and it's no good for you, and there's no smoking." So the guy went out of his way to come and approach me, the local, and ask, where was the smoking section? I said, "You can sit down next to me and smoke if you want to. It's all right." And he went a couple of feet off, a couple of yards in that direction, and lit a cigarette and was done with it. And because they're Asians, fastidious, clean as hell, takes the butt of the cigarette and put it into a little container that they have specifically for that purpose.
Oh, yeah, you got a little pocket ashtray.
Yeah. I think those are the coolest things in the world. And they give away for nothing in Japan. You go to Japan and, I don't know, you buy a pack of cigarettes and they'll give you a lighter and a little ashtray that you can keep around. And I originally thought that would be a stinky thing, but I remember when the last time I smoked a cigarette in a foreign country, that I put it out in there and closed it, and it didn't even get hot. And you can put it in your pocket, and the smell doesn't come into your clothes. I thought it was pretty cool. 888-825-5888. Nick Perlowski is saying, "Oh, great. Now the legislature is going to make a new law." I'm sorry, I didn't think of that. Here's the upshot, buddy, is we're the only two that are working today. Outside of Jimmy, and Jimmy won't do it. But outside of us, I don't think there's anybody over at the legislatures listening going, "Hey, there's a great idea. Let's get in the way of people and make them so they can't smoke cigarettes at the beach anymore."
I think only 5 senators at the legislature actually listen to us anyway.
No, they if they're not, they've got people that do. If they don't, because, there's lots of stuff going on. And they got to listen to their shark. They got to listen to their songs. So they got a guy that listens to us and writes down everything that we say. And if we say anything about them, then it gets reported. I.e., a conversation earlier that we were having with Senator Jim Moylan and Joe San Augustine's name came up. I guarantee if Joe wasn't listening, he had somebody that did and said, "Hey, they're talking about you on the point. Ray and Jimmy are talking about you on the radio right now." Oh yeah. Get me a copy of that and lunch. Go get him lunch. I want a cafeteria today.
And another pack of smokes.
That's what it sounds like. Anyway, 946-888-8255 is the telephone number. My buddy Carl is online. How you doing there, bro?
Hey, good morning, Ray.
Day, what's going on?
I caught the tail end of your conversation with, I believe that was Arlene Steffi, right?
It was. You'll be able to hear it again in its entirety after the program. We'll have everything up on Facebook Live and YouTube as a video on demand, so you can go back. We started talking about 20 after 9, so it went for a little bit before you tuned in.
Yeah, well, anytime the conversation is about, separating with America, my ears perk up. One of my
I don't know why. Carl, how old are you? You and I are about the same age, right?
I'm 60. I think you're a little bit younger.
I'll be 58 in May, so we're not that far away in time from each other. And this conversation about independence and the change in our political status. You and I will be long dead before anything happens. I would not worry about it. It's purely academic right now, and it is in the realm of a small minority of people that are trying to convince everybody else that their answer to the question is correct, and that we're not going to have a plebiscite anytime soon. And even if we had a plebiscite, the process of putting together a change in our political status, whether it's the Commonwealth or statehood or independence or what is the other one, free association, forget it. It ain't gonna happen. It just take forever. We just and we're not good at it.
Well, the reason why I want to weigh in, and I realize what you're saying, and I've had the same thought that it might not affect me, but who knows? These things have a way of sometimes catching us off guard. But I'm much more concerned for the coming generations that will be affected by it, and are being indoctrinated in our schools, in a certain way of thinking, against, this anti-Americanism, anti-military, anti-capitalism, anti-Western civilization. It just really saturated certain parts of the university system.
But they're going to get that. They're going to get that no matter where they're. They're going to get it on Guam. We're going to send our kids to college, and they're going to get indoctrinated against the military, and even in American colleges, on American campuses, they hate the U.S. There's so much self-loathing that seems to be going on in the States. I worry about sending my daughter to college. Somebody was saying, "Oh, you know what? They got a really good program for that at UC Berkeley." I said, no way in hell my daughter's going to UC Berkeley. Ain't going to happen.
Yeah, there are very strong historical reasons why that is, and I won't get into that now because that's a whole different conversation, maybe another time. But the reason why I'm weighing in, my biggest concern with that direction is I believe the most valuable thing we have in our relationship with America, and I mean, it is not the icing, it is the entire cake, and that is our personal freedoms in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights especially, the first 10 amendments. And the temptation is to say, well, we can write those things into our own Constitution. It's completely different. It's very, very hard.
Not in the same way. Not going to be. I agree with you 1,000%. We have to refer to. Are we going to refer to them as inalienable rights? There's a reason why that word is there. Inalienable rights. And unless we're very specific about what we consider our inalienable rights, I think that we do ourselves a disservice by steering clear of the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, and for centuries, people in inhabited continents all around the world did not have those rights. It was only beginning in Britain and then evolving to the United States and finally codified in the Constitution where these came into existence. And we've never lost our freedom. We came close during World War II. But the Hong Kong people, why they fight as hard as they do, they've heard the horror stories of what happens in a concentration of power in China. The horrific things that have happened to the Tibetans, the Uyghur Muslims in Turkestan.
Oh, yeah.
Turkestan.
Well, anywhere where you've got a totalitarian regime. You know, I was watching Ken Burns' story about Vietnam, and while the run-up to the war, the American presence and the American conflict in Vietnam was interesting, what was more interesting to me is what happened immediately after Saigon fell. And all of a sudden there was an independent communist Vietnam, and that was a totalitarian state, and there were people who were sent to education camps. They were sent to re-education camps. So re-education, take out the word re-education and put concentration, because that's what it was. There were people that were sent to concentration camps. Maybe they were re-educated. Maybe they were killed. Maybe they were disappeared. And that's the kind of thing that can happen. One of my favorite current memes right now, and I saw it on Twitter the other day, and it makes me smile. Because I think we are those people. But it was the meme that said, try to be the Americans that Hong Kong people think we are. If you want to live up to something, live up to the ideal of Americans that's stuck in the heads of these protesters and soon to be freedom fighters in Hong Kong.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the younger generation has never experienced that, and we have no news coming from, you know, someplace like China that we are being absorbed into. These Chinese, even the young people are terrified of being absorbed into this monstrous regime. You know, I could tell you all kinds of horror stories about what has happened to the Tibetans and to the Uyghurs in eastern Turkestan, now renamed Xinjiang. You know, the practitioners of Falun Gong. I mean, just millions and millions of people have had horrific things done to them. And the younger generation has been indoctrinated into focusing on, and incidents have been reframed to demonize America, and they're totally unfamiliar with the horrors that have happened under communist regimes, you know. And but anyway, you know, my concern is separating from America will mean delinking from the Constitution. That is the most precious thing we have. Everything else, including economic prosperity and government stability, is that's the icing. The cake is our freedoms. That is, you know, the most important thing. Just writing it into our own Constitution is not the same thing. It's tremendously hard to tinker with the Constitution. How hard would it be for a few demagogues to inflame the 15 senators and one governor and do away with the Constitution or rewrite it?
Well, as easy, and I'm going to let you go on this point because I want you to ponder this for our next conversation. It will be as easy as, and there's no other way to say it, although it's not the appropriate way to do it, but I think that there is legislation right now being considered that is, for all intents and purposes, gerrymandering. But we're not doing it with property lines. We're not doing it with zones. We're doing it with dollars, and they're going to make it that much more difficult for people, non-demagogues, to be able to run for and achieve political office. 9:54. I may take up the cudgels. I may actually ponder the idea of running for office, if for no other reason to get in front of that kind of legislation and say absolutely not. This is it smacks of demagoguery what they're trying to do, and to make it more difficult for different voices, non-Democrat, non-Republican voices, and deep state voices to get into the legislature. We've got to make sure that we stand in front of that. 9:55, Carl, I'll talk to you later.
Always good to talk to you, Ray.
Pleasure's mine. Look forward to hearing you on Tall Tales. Looking forward to that program on, because it's not a holiday here on the radio station, so former everything Bob Klitsky is going to be on the radio at 4. I will be right back.
Attention federal employees and annuitants. Open season is running now through December 9 for FEHB plans. Voted PICA's best again for 2019, Take Care delivers comprehensive insurance coverage and quality health care when and where it's needed most. Take Care's popular supplemental wellness package provides cash incentives and gives members a choice of 19 fitness partners, including Paradise Fitness Center. To learn more, visit TakeCareAsia.com. Take Care, the first reaccredited health plan in the region.
Ever notice how that one perfect holiday gift is just out of reach? Or how sales on the stuff you want all come at the same time? This season, plan ahead with a holiday loan from First Hawaiian Bank. Now you can afford to be nice without being naughty. For more details, visit FHB.com or any branch to apply. Additional restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Yeah.
GRMC's Neuroscience and Neurology Department treats a wide spectrum of disorders associated with the nervous system, spine, and brain. Some of the more common disorders include seizures, epilepsy, dementia, sleep disorders, migraine, and stroke, which is one of the leading causes of death on Guam. GRMC's neuroscience team is equipped with the latest technology and the finest neurological doctors. To make an appointment, contact GRMC Specialty Clinics at 645-5500.
That's funny. You're a funny guy. James Howard says, we need an 83-foot ladder, but your fork is only 23 feet in either. Any questions? We need to put in something about a hat in there. For those of you that have been listening since the beginning, a note here. No, I don't think he was high when he did it. The Carlo branch with a couple of interesting things, talking about vetoing a budget because a well-intentioned provision may contain a flawed funding source is like sticking your head in an oven because you can't find a hat. I will spend the rest of my life parsing every single word in that sentence, trying to get a semblance of what the heck he meant when he said it.
Keep in mind, I grew up on a steady diet of Texasisms.
Right.
That's not one that I ever heard.
20.
That did not come from Texas.
Yeah, all hat, no cattle. I mean, that's a Texas. That's a Texasism, right? That's where somebody is. We say that somebody is all hat and no cattle when it's somebody that's purporting to be something he is not. Looking like I'm a big rancher, I'm a big rich guy. Call me Colonel. But he doesn't actually have any cattle to back him up. All hat, no cattle is a great example of it. And then this one here that makes a little bit more sense. Although I got to say this is one of my. This will go down as one of our favorite Carl-isms. If a fund has a negative balance, a deficit, it stays that way until that deficit amount turns into a surplus through excess collections over a period of time. It is currently inconceivable that we can climb out of an 83-foot hole using a 23-foot ladder. Challenge accepted. Let me just say that. You dig me an 83-foot hole and give me a 23-foot ladder. I'll find a way. I will find a way to use that 23-foot ladder to get myself out of that. And give it to you like this. Is it possible that there are ideas that we can use that would put $23 million to work so that at the end of our investment period, it makes enough money based on a return on investment to cover the other $60 million. Is it possible that we could do something like that in a short space of time? Ponder. The answer is yes. You'd ask anybody in business. The answer is yes. But unless you actually put your brain to work to figure it out, you're going to continue to think that the only way that we're going to get out from under $83 million worth of debt is to consistently have surpluses. Like that's going to happen. Like the government is capable of doing it. Like I'm capable of saving that kind of money. Get out of here with that. Bolero. 9 o'clock? No, 10 o'clock in the morning. It's almost done. Quick note, shop early in the day. I went and picked up some stuff from my brother yesterday over at Home Depot. I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. Got in, got the stuff, got out. And when I passed by there later in the afternoon, you would think that parking lot still wasn't big enough for all of the business they were doing there. Get in early and get it done. Now, it's possible those of you that are listening today are probably going to hear some of the same content tomorrow. Number one, because it's funny. And number two, because there's a whole bunch of people that did not participate in today's program because they're still asleep. And so I'm going to reuse some of the same bits on them tomorrow. Like sticking your head in an oven because you can't find a hat. That's coming back for sure. That's right up there with I know my rights, pig. I ain't no snitch. The radio station, KUSG, had gotten you 93.3. This is The Point.
To shut down a program operating here for decades. I'm Jane Metzler, Fox News. After Friday's deadly shooting rampage by a Saudi Air Force second lieutenant at the Pensacola Naval Air Station, questions about the training program that allowed him to enter the country.
We need to suspend the Saudi program until we find out what happened here. I like the idea of training foreign pilots, understanding how the American system works. I like allies. Saudi Arabia is an ally, but there's something really bad here.
Senator Lindsey Graham, a 33-year veteran of the Air Force, on Sunday Morning Futures. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, an Iraq War veteran who still serves as a lieutenant commander in the Naval Reserves, voiced his concerns.
For us to be bringing in these foreign nationals, you have to take precautions to protect the country. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, bringing in people from Saudi Arabia, you know, you need to be on guard on that.
The Washington Post reporting the Pentagon canceled a training program for Afghan pilots in Texas earlier this year after roughly 40% went AWOL. A similar program in Georgia also facing high desertion rates and is likely to end next year. In Pensacola and overseas, the FBI conducting what it calls a terrorism investigation. Other Saudi military trainees said to be cooperating with it, but they are confined to a separate area on the Pensacola base. The gunman and 3 other Saudis were in Manhattan Thanksgiving week, visiting Rockefeller Center, several museums. Authorities want to know why they were in New York and what they were doing while they were here. America is listening to Fox News.
Download Fox News Channel's The 5 podcast for free. 5 of your favorite Fox News personalities discuss current issues in a roundtable discussion. Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com. America is listening to Fox News.
America is a special place. Every 4 years, we do something most people across the globe only dream of. Democracy 2020. It's in your hands. Fox News. America is watching.
It's the holiday season, and it's the perfect time to give that Fox News fan in your life the greatest gift of all. Exclusive Fox News gear. Go to